From lions to giraffes, elephants to zebras, cheetahs, hippos, and so many more, welcome to Inama Zoo. My name is the Lady Designer, and this African wildlife park is unlike anything you've seen in Planet Zoo before. There are no fences, only rivers, waterfalls, tropical mountains, rock formations, and open grasslands creating natural boundaries between species. You'll see animals roam freely through their habitats just as they would in the wild. And you can even enjoy them with a jeep safari that goes right through the heart of the park. This Supercut brings together the entire Inama Zoo African Wildlife series into one amazing journey so you can enjoy the full build from start to finish all in one place. Now, even though Inama Zoo is finished, I'm still uploading lots of fresh Planet Zoo content today, so if you enjoyed this Supercut and find it inspiring, please leave a like and subscribe so you won't miss my latest builds, tutorials, franchise mode adventures, community zoo tours, and so much more. And before we jump in, a quick shout out to the sponsor of our channel, Instant Gaming. They offer all Planet Zoo packs at amazing discounts. And by purchasing through their website, you will get a great deal and you'll also be supporting the channel. You can find a link in the description of this video and in the pinned message of the comment section so you can easily find it. So whether you're here for safari inspiration, relaxing Planet Zoo gameplay, or just want to enjoy a cozy African safari from the comfort of your sofa, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride through Inama Zoo, our African wildlife park. Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is the Lady Designer, and we're here with the very first episode of our new sandbox park. Welcome to Inama Zoo. The meaning of that is wild animals, so Inama means wild animals. So we're going to create a African Savannah zoo, and I was actually planning to do a more realism thing that doesn't really feel like a zoo at all. And with a lot of thinking and a lot of debating, I was thinking it might be better to go for a little bit more of a safari zoo, aka maybe a national park idea. But the main thing and the main reason for that is because it's just really hard to get a lot of animals in if you would have just one big landscape. So mostly because of the feeders, so you would still need gates and stuff for your staff to be able to give the animals food. And the idea I had was basically just one big environment with a jeep safari going through it, and I just don't really see it happening that everything goes right. So the plan will be, right now we have this big building. I had no idea yet what to do with it. I found a picture of African architecture, but I tried to find the picture again to tell you guys what it is inspired of, but I can't find it anywhere anymore. It's super weird, so I'm very sorry for that. But it is inspired by some kind of African building, and I used the glass roof of the Nile Zoo dome just to get the shape from it. So that whole glass roof will be deleted in the end. And for this particular dome-ish building, I wanted to use the art pieces in this case because you can really color them in every color you want. So I thought in this case it would be easier to use those pieces instead of the normal construction pieces. And I actually just started building this one and I had no idea for what it would be. You could maybe build a elephant shelter out of it or anything like that, but since we're not going for a real zoo, we're probably not going to build any shelters for our animals. I am going to adapt the zoo to make sure that the staff is able to feed the animals, but in the end we're in Africa, and the animals in Africa, when they free roam to their landscaping, they don't have any shelters unless they are going to lay down underneath a tree or anything like that. So I am not going to build that many shelters or whatsoever. There in fact are not going to be any buildings, I think, except for this one. Things can change, obviously the whole plan of this zoo is already changing while I start building in the first episode, so things might change later on, but the idea is to get as many animals as possible of the African region in this zoo, and we're going to have a jeep safari. And all the landscapes we're going to build will be inspired of the real African savanna landscaping. So I'm gonna use a lot of inspiration for that and really try to get as many natural borders as possible. Like in Mainland Zoo, we did try a lot with rock borders, which are fairly easy, obviously. But in this case, I want to go for more like terrain barriers or something like that. So I want to have like very steep slopes that you will not be able to see from this center point of view. So there will be a lot of natural borders that are just not visible. At least that is my idea. I have no idea if it's going to work. Like it's gonna depend also if animals will be able to jump very high or not. So I am really curious how this is going to look, but I have some really cool ideas. So we have this building in the front or in the middle section of our zoo, and there's a big path going towards it. In this video, you will see me build the Jeep Safari, which is going to change a lot during this series. It's just to get an idea of, okay, how do I want the track to go? We're going to hide away the track, so no one will be seeing the track. You will only see the Jeep driving through this as if there's really a guy driving it. That is the idea. There's not going to be too many Jeeps. Like, I don't want it to feel like Planet Coaster where you just have like tons of different Jeeps driving around it. It has to be a little bit exclusive for the guests. So yeah, I want to really combine a safari zoo together with like more realism that you would go on a safari in Africa. So that is the whole approach of this zoo. And also, like, you have a lot of animals like the elephant and the warthog and the zebra and the ostrich that can be combined in one habitat. But I felt like if I wanted to do it like with one big habitat, I am afraid that my lions, for example, which I also really would like to add, will be killing animals. And that's not what we want to do. So we want to have a safe area for all our animals, not being afraid of being killed or anything like that. So I don't want to add too much of that realism in it because it's still also a zoo, but with just a lot of nature and just a beautiful landscape for them to live in and to roam in and to just have fun in. So we're also going to play a lot with water. I also want to build more things with waterfalls and just a beautiful river. So we're going to add like big herds for animals. So a lot of animals do love to have like a big group around them. So I'm definitely, if I'm going to add any animals, for example, like the buffalo or the black wildebeest, I think if I remember correctly, they like to have like 20 or 30 animals around them. So yeah, like I am really going to try to get in the maximum amount of all the animals in to really give that natural, realistic feeling, because I think that's just a lot of fun to do. Yeah, we're just going to try to add like as many African animals as possible and just make sure that whatever happens with the Jeep, we don't want to see any fences. We don't want to see staff buildings or staff gates, whether you're on this middle section or in the Jeep Safari itself. So as I just mentioned, like this building I'm building right now, I had no idea at first what even to do with it. I just start building like I always do. There are not that many plans for me, except for like knowing what I want to do, but not how I want to do it. So in this case, in the end, it turned out to be more of a shade area for the people. They can sit down here and relax and just hide away from the sun a little bit because it's super warm in Africa. So I think that makes total sense. I might add some shops too, but to be honest, that's not really my idea because I really want to have this natural feeling going on. And if I put down shops anywhere, I feel like it's going to hurt our beautiful viewing point. So I'm not really sure about that, but also that can change during the way, of course. And I did raise a lot of land around that middle section just to get a starting point. Like a lot of things are going to be changed. We're gonna work with a lot of different elevations and, as I said, like natural borders. So we really want to play with that. We're gonna have probably a lot of man-made bridges. We also have a man-made tunnel for the Jeep Safari, and I don't know if it works, but I really want to see if we can also drive through the water with the Jeep Safari. I don't know if we get any errors if we do that, but that is something I'm going to try, or at least try to get the approach of the the Jeep Safari going through the water. So yeah, I'm really excited to just start building this whole zoo, which is, well, not basically a zoo, but just really with a lot of nature and open areas, of course, because Aardvark also has a lot of plain areas, but there are also really beautiful areas in the African savannah. So yeah, there's just a lot of different natural environments we can try to kind of replicate in the zoo. So I'm just really excited for that. And we're just gonna have a lot of combination with the yellowish landscapes with a lot of green. I think it's gonna look really beautiful. And just if you look at the blue sky, I think it's gonna be really beautiful to just walk around here or sit in your Jeep and just drive around here with the animals. And if I remember correctly, I haven't tested it yet, but if I remember correctly, if you are sitting in a Jeep and the animals pass by over the Jeep track, then your Jeep will actually just slow down until the animal moves along. So those kind of things I'm really interested to see more about. So I'm really excited for that. So yeah, the first episode doesn't include any animals, but in the second one we're starting to add several animals in our zoo. I'm really excited for that. I really hope you guys are too. Please do let me know in the comment section down below if you have any suggestions or ideas, and let me know, of course, what you think of this first episode. Leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed, and subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And I really hope to see you guys in the next episode of Inama Zoo. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys. Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is the Lady Designer and we're back with another speed build video of our new sandbox series, Inama Zoo, meaning wild animals. And this will be very much inspired by the African Savannah, a wildlife park with a jeep safari, and we're also going to inspire a lot of the Kruger Park in South Africa. But I really will give it my own twist. I still haven't really made up my mind yet how I want to do it regarding the boundaries, because you have an option in sandbox mode where you can just turn off fighting and animals hunting. So we could either decide to have like the elephants and the zebras together with lions and stuff, but we can also still decide to have a little bit of separate areas. I just don't really know yet. I was also trying to see if I was able to have the jeep safari going through the water, which is unfortunately not possible, so we have to stick with bridges or those kind of things. So it's not possible to have like the track going slightly through the water to have like that water effect. That will be really cool, but it's not really going to work. So yeah, there is going to be a lot of changes, I think, along the way, because also I really just have to make sure that everything kind of works properly. Like, I tried to add the African elephant. Well, I added the African elephant, you will see that. And the reason why I start with like the biggest of the biggest animals is mainly because of their traversable area. Their traversable area can be really hard, especially when you use a lot of the elephant's grass, which kind of just reduces their traversable area. So I really wanted to have those big animals in first so I could see where the animals would be able to walk and where not. And also you will see me adding some really high square terrain edges just to make sure that I have an area where I can maybe add a waterfall in a later stage. Now I want to have a few different kind of waterfalls, I think, but also those kind of things are not really certain. Like, I don't really plan anything, I just see what would fit in the end. But we are making a sand river, which I also found on Google, just looking up images, and I found some sand river. And I really like that idea. Now, the downside of Planet Zoo is that you are not able to do any terrain forming when you lay down the water. So once you put in the water, you are not able to do anything anymore. So that is really a struggle. So I was like, okay, I can either just start removing and adding the water constantly and really do everything with the terrain. But I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So in the end, it was more of a combination of using the Savannah rocks together with some terrain forming. And I think in the end, I kind of got the feeling I was going for. Obviously, you can't really, well, maybe if you put in like hours and hours of work, you are able to make it really realistic with like really shallow waters and the terrain forming, but it's just really a pain in the butt if you would do it with the terrain and the water only. So I'm really happy that these Savannah rocks pretty much work to get a river feeling, and in the end I also added the river rapid foam, so you can really have a little bit of the feeling that it's really moving water. Now obviously it's all flat, but I think adding those river rapids really, the river rapids foam really helps with getting a feeling of moving water. So I really like how that turned out. And other than that, we have two bigger water sections, which I also made a little bit deeper. So like for the elephants, they're able to swim there, but there are also some more shallow river beddings where they can just walk through the water. And on the other side, I am hoping to get the hippos in, because that will be super cool to have some hippos on the other side on the water. And yeah, I just really like that idea. I actually would also really like to add maybe some saltwater crocodiles or anything like that, because that would, I don't know, crocodiles in the water would be really cool. And I like that idea, but I'm really curious if you guys would like that too, like then we're already starting with adding some predators in the area where there are also like very cute animals that you don't want to get killed. But they don't in Planet Zoo, because I will turn it off. But I just don't know what we should go for. If we should go for a more safe zone for the animals or more of a realistic feeling, but then still turn it off. I just really can't make up my mind. So I'm just really curious how you guys think about that. So yeah, what I wanted to say, I added the African elephants, and in the beginning I was like, oh my god, this is really great. But after a few minutes, I already saw that the African elephants don't really move in groups. I really thought that was a thing in a later update, that animals would really behave as a group wise, but all the elephants were like everywhere, and I was like, I am not really sure, because I would really like to see, I don't know if maybe it's only the elephants, but I really would like to see like really big group of animals moving around together. That would be super awesome, and I really was hoping that that will be something in the game. I mean, they also have something like that in Jurassic World Evolution, that they really follow the alpha animal or something similar like that. So I don't really know if it's just me, or that it was just the African elephant, or that all the animals don't really behave like that. But I really hope so, because it would be super cool to have like a big group of African buffaloes or the black wildebeest all together and just moving together, because that is what you would see in real life. So I really hope that is something we can achieve in a later stage, or maybe we should just ask Frontier to add something like that if it's not. But I was pretty sure that something like that was already added to the game, so I'm not really sure about that. Also, one big downside of having the African elephants in, oh my goodness, those guys poop. And this habitat is so big that I only have like one staff gate. You can't really add more of them if you have an enclosure. So I was like, okay, well, there are still keepers that come in and clean the habitat, but at some point there was so much poop, so I had like 15 elephants and I reduced it to 6, because I was like, no, if I have so much poop, this is not going to work. So yeah, I have like a very big boundary, but obviously we will reduce that in a later stage, like so we can also add some more animals in, but we just have to wait and see how we will set up the boundaries for other animals, like on the edges of that round, I don't even know how to call it, that round building we have in the middle. I think like around that there will be like the African savannah area with the elephants and the giraffes and the zebras and all those kind of animals. And then I think at the outer section, where we also will add more track for the jeep ride, we will also get like the lions and stuff. That is something I at least have in mind. But as I said in the beginning, like I don't know, we might want to combine them, but then we are really forced to only use that one boundary. I'm not really sure. Did anyone try to build a African savanna with only the no fences and then just make separate habitats with separate gates? And then if you turn off all the notifications for the animals escaping and those kind of things, does that work to get more gates in there and the keepers will be able to clean everything? I haven't tested that yet, but maybe someone that is watching right now knows what I mean and can tell me if that would maybe be a thing. So just connect no fences with different habitats with the no fence, and then being able to add different gates so you will have more keepers. And then when the animals walk over the no fences, do you then get a escape alert, or when you turn everything off, is everything then fine? Because that might be a workaround to have like a lot of invisible habitats and then a few gates that we will hide away, and then a clean area, because I just don't want all that poop being everywhere. It's like too much. It's really too much. But I don't know what happens if an animal like the African elephant will walk over a no fence and be in a different habitat and then will poop. Will the keeper of that habitat then clean? Will the keepers walk over the no fences? I have no idea if that is something that could work. So if anyone is out there that has tested it or has any idea of how we can tackle at least the pooping, then I would be really happy if you could help me out with that. So yeah, the second episode, it's really hard. Like, we have such a big area and you have to decide like, okay, where am I gonna start? So yeah, right now it feels still super plain for me and like super boring. There's only like a small area with a lot of nature. Like, that is mostly what we're going to do, a lot of nature, and I'm really gonna try to have different variations in every episode of different biomes, or at least a different feeling of the area where we are going through. So it's gonna be a lot of nature, but I really hope I can still make every episode interesting, doing new things and stuff. So not like we're gonna do this nature all over and over and over again in every episode, because then it will be very boring to do so. So I really want to force myself to try and do new and different things. And obviously we're going to add more animals during the episodes, and there's just so much to do. And yeah, I just hope you guys will enjoy the second episode of this Inama Zoo series. Also very good to mention, we are heading to the new year. And I don't know if you guys all read the community wall, but I already posted it a few weeks ago that in January I want to take it a little bit more slow, because December and November were like amazing months, but also like it took me a lot of energy and I really feel it. I took some days off during Christmas and stuff, but also Christmas was making me very tired, and that's okay. Like, I need to get used to that, of being having chronic fatigue with chronic stress, but I just really feel it's good for January to take a step back. So what I'm aiming for, but it's not like guaranteed, I will try to upload my YouTube schedule, which you can find in my description of this video, but I will aim to upload videos on Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, at least for January, so I can have a little bit more of relaxing time, because daily videos is really amazing, but you can't do that for months. It's just not possible, at least not for me in my condition. So I really hope you guys understand. So in January there will be not as many videos as you guys were used to, but still I just really want to give quality videos for you guys. So I'm gonna do my best to make every episode as much fun to watch for you guys, of course. And if anything changes or I'm not uploading, you can find it also at my website at the schedule. So I will try to update you guys there as much as possible. So if there's no video, I will also try to mention it on my website so everyone can read it, because sometimes I hear that people are not able to read the community wall. So yeah, I will try to post it everywhere, also in my Discord server, of course, if I'm not able to make it or anything like that. So yeah, I just hope you guys can bear with me. At least for January, I'm gonna take a little bit of a step back, but I'm not going away. I'm really not going away, so don't worry about that. But I just sometimes don't have energy to do anything, so yeah. So yeah, let me know in the comment section if you guys have any idea about the no fences and what we should do. Should we add the lions and those kind of animals together with like the zebras and the elephants, or shall we try to separate it a little bit more? Do let me know if you have any other suggestions, and yeah, I'm just really looking forward to read all your comments, of course. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed, and I just really hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys! Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning in to my channel. My name is the Lady Designer and we're back with another speed build video of Inama Zoo. And I wish you all a very happy new year. This is the very first video we are uploading in 2020. I really hope you all had an amazing New Year's Eve and are having some really good plans for 2020. I want to take this opportunity to thank you guys so much for all your amazing support during 2019. We actually doubled our sub count in like only 3 months. It's crazy. I think when Planet Zoo dropped during the beta, I had 31,000 subscribers. And right now we are around 68,000 or something like that. So 2019, especially the end, has been an amazing, incredible year for the channel. And I'm super thankful for all your amazing support. So thank you guys so much again. You guys are awesome. And yeah, words cannot describe how thankful I am for everything you guys gave me in 2019. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So now we are building in Inama Zoo. And as mentioned in the previous episodes, I really wanted to do something with waterfalls. Now, Africa does have some waterfalls. And this one particularly is based on or inspired of the Blythe River Canyon area, and there is a waterfall there that is called the Kadishi Tufa waterfall, but that is not the waterfall I have inspired this waterfall of. I actually don't really know if there is a name for this waterfall. I found a video on YouTube with an area that was just called Blythe River Canyon and the surrounding area, and it's recorded with a drone. So I will just link that one in the description to give you guys an idea of what this is inspired of, but I just actually don't know if there is some kind of name for this waterfall. But in the end, it's about the idea of having this lush feeling, what really resembles the Blythe River Canyon. Because the Blythe River Canyon is one of the largest canyons on Earth, and it may also be the largest green canyon due to the lush and subtropical foliage. So yeah, I really love that idea, of course, because even though many people think that South Africa is really a lot of like plain areas and a lot of yellow with not that many green areas, I really like to have that green and lushy feeling in Inama Zoo because, I don't know, that is just like the most beautiful contrast with like the yellow sandstone rocks and canyons, and then with the green you really get a beautiful contrast together with the water. It's like just really stunning. So yeah, Africa, thank God, is not only about like grassland areas which are really plain. Like we're also going to get an area in Inama Zoo, of course, that really resembles that specific area, but we're gonna have like very different natural feelings in this area to really get the different contrast and a different biome variation going on. So that is really something I want to do, to have very different areas. I'm gonna make a lot of hills and stuff, so we're gonna hopefully create natural boundaries for the animals. Talking about animals, I didn't really add any animal at this point. Like in the Blythe River Canyon, there is a big variety of animals that live there, and there is like, of course, a lot of fish, but we don't have any fish in Planet Zoo. You also have a lot of antelope species and also hippos, and again the crocodiles, which we don't have. We don't have the Nile crocodile, but we do have the saltwater crocodile. But a lot of people are like, no, you should not add the saltwater crocodile. Okay, so then we're not going to add any crocodiles. I was thinking to maybe add the Nile monitor, but I really didn't dive that much into the natural environment of the Nile monitor, so I'm not really sure if that is the best animal to add in this region. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what animal we should add. Like, there is a natural boundary actually in this canyon because of the rocks that I put down next to the river. The elephants, for example, are just not able to get into this area, so we could really take our advantage of these natural borders without seeing the borders with some kind of animal. I was maybe thinking to add the lions just because it's like a very beautiful area, but also the lions, it doesn't really feel right to add them in this specific area of the park. So I don't think we're gonna add lions, but just to give you guys an idea of my ideas, and it's a hard one. It's a hard one for this specific area. Like, I would love to add the hippos, but the hippos, it's too small for the hippos. So I think the hippos will just go on the other side of the zoo or the park, a wildlife park. I don't know how we're gonna call it. If I say zoo, you guys know what I mean. So yeah, it's a hard one what kind of animal I would like to add here, but I'm really happy with the end result. Like, obviously, the big feeling of a canyon with like a lot of lushy areas on this scale is not really possible, so you have to work with the trees and stuff and the bushes, how you get them in the game, and try to create that lushy feeling, even though it's totally not on scale. Like, I am not a Mike Sheets that knows really how you can create mountain-ish feelings with a forced perspective, I think it's called. So yeah, I'm doing my best with the items we have to create just a lushy environment with the feeling of a canyon being overgrown and stuff. But it's a hard one. It's a hard one, but I'm really happy with the end result. And as I said, like, the contrast with the green and the sandstone and the yellow, and it just works really well together with the water. I really love how this is turning out. And as I said, I just don't really know what kind of animal we should add in this region, but I am really thinking to create a hillside on the back of this huge canyon. So it goes down really smooth, and then we're gonna have probably the Jeep Safari going through that area. But we also really need to make sure that the Jeep Safari has a nice viewing point to this waterfall section, of course. At first I thought maybe I want to get some kind of bridge feeling, but then I thought, no, I'm not going to make a bridge because that is probably going to end up with a huge big shadow, and that's going to ruin the beautiful side of the waterfalls. So I'm probably thinking to get the Jeep Safari at least going up on these hills or this canyon, and then have a nice viewing point down towards the waterfalls. But we can also use this area for a animal. I just really don't know what kind of animal we should add. Like, a lot of the animals, I didn't really dive into that to do a lot of research, so I'm not really sure what kind of other animal we could add in these canyons, except for maybe some primates, because primates are very common in this Blythe River Canyon Nature Reserve in South Africa, but I'm not really sure if I want to add primates. I really have the feeling we should add more of a cheetah or the lions, but then again, they also feel to be added more in the grassland area. Okay, I'm really thinking out loud here, so I might sound really messy and I'm doing my best here. I'm really trying to figure out what kind of animal we could add in like the hill area, maybe behind this canyon, and then they will have a path going through, going to this canyon, to this water section, so they will be able to swim. There's one small area in this canyon that I can maybe adjust a little bit to make it more flat if they would not be able to climb down this steep hill, but there are some possibilities to adjust this a little bit to make sure that at least one of the animals is able to climb down here, take a little swim, but also climb up to the canyon and then walk all the way around and the backside of this canyon with a more hilly feeling. So I think we are onto something, but if you guys have any ideas or suggestions, please do let me know in the comment section down below, because sometimes I'm a little bit stuck, and I know you guys are super creative too, so I know you guys, and there are a lot of people out there that live near this area, come from South Africa, so maybe you guys have some awesome ideas of what we could add in this area. And it would be really amazing if someone actually been to the Blythe River Canyon Nature Reserve in South Africa and you're maybe like, oh my god, I know exactly what animal you should add here. Do let me know that in the comment section down below. Let me know, of course, what you guys think of this new Inama River Canyon, we're gonna call it. And yeah, I'm just really excited to read all your comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe, of course, if you haven't already, and leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed. And I just really hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys!
Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is the Lady Designer and we're back with another speed build video of Inama Zoo. And thank you guys so much for waiting. As you may have heard, I had the flu, so I haven't been uploading for a while. I did upload a few franchise mode speed builds, so if you're interested in that, please go and check that out, of course. But we're now back at Inama Zoo. I do have to admit, it was a bit hard to get back into it because I wasn't quite sure what area to use as inspiration for this area, because I don't know, I just wanted to do something with the river and I wasn't quite sure what I could use for it. Like a lot of things I find on Google is like mostly pictures of just animals in a close-up and not really like the nature around it, so it was quite a hard one for this one. And in the end, I used some pictures which were named of the Crocodile River in Kruger Park in Africa. So I used that as a little bit of inspiration, but in the end, I really gave it my own twist to make a nice looking area for hippos we added in this area. And I'm really happy to have hippos. There are now, I think, 5 hippos in this area, but obviously I want to add a few more of them. So it looks just really nice to have the hippos. And even though this is inspired of the Crocodile River, we don't have Nile crocodiles. So as mentioned in one of the previous episodes, I don't really feel like adding the saltwater crocodile because that one doesn't really live in Africa. So yeah, common sense, we're not going to add a crocodile and just hope that maybe this year we will get a new DLC, which they will maybe add a Nile crocodile or something that we can add here. But yeah, I just feel like it's better to not add any crocodiles in if they're not from Africa. So what I tried to do is get some kind of sandy islands. What I saw in the pictures was like a very low island, like almost at the level of the water section. And to have that as, I don't know how you would call that in English, but hopefully it makes sense if you can see it. But I saw some pictures with like a lot of hippos just sleeping there and just like chilling, and it just looks just really good. So I just tried to get that feeling of those pictures in this area. And like the downside of Planet Zoo in general is, like in real life, you see a lot of the elephant grass. Like in a lot of pictures, I see the elephant grass coming back, and it's also way more greener than I thought. I do have to say that. Like I really thought like, okay, grassland is more of the yellowish color, but a lot of pictures I found of the African biomes are also really green and just super beautiful. But when having a yellowish map, it's quite harder to achieve that greenish area. So yeah, we have to work with that. But also, like in real life, the animals can really walk just through the elephant grass and create their own path. But in Planet Zoo, you're just really not able to. So I would love to just build elephant grass like everywhere and just give it that really realistic feeling. But then again, I just have to work with the fact that the hippos or elephants or whatever animal, they're just not able to walk through it. So their traversable area will really be reduced if you put down a lot of the elephant grass. So yeah, I just couldn't go as crazy as I wanted to give it really that elephant grass feeling, but I did my best to really just get different areas in with a lot of green and stuff, so to really give that feeling if you're like on a first person level, to give it more of the feeling that there's a lot of elephant grass everywhere. But it's just a hard one. And also I had some issues with the traversable area. As you can see, there's like a very flat area, and for some reason there's just a line of the blue of the traversable area and white. I have no idea what that is. It sometimes was just fixed, so I don't know if that is a bug or anything like that, but I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna build and continue. It's sandbox mode, so I don't have to worry too much about all those things because we can just turn off a lot. What is really weird though is that I do have protesters in the zoo, even though I have the welfare of the animals on 100%. So that is quite weird. You would expect if you have sandbox mode and you turn off like all the managing parts that you do still have protesters in. I wonder if that is a bug, because it shouldn't happen. If you have animals with 100% welfare, you should not have protesters. So it's a bit weird, but we are still working on like the bigger picture, and I just hope that those things will be fixed in the later stage and that everything will be fine in the end, and it's not like super bothering or anything like that. We're not playing franchise mode, so I guess it's fine. What I did do, because of the animals not really being in a herd together or staying together, I saw the hippos walking to other sides very quickly, and I was like, no, I really want them to I want to have them in this specific region of the zoo. So in the end, I just use the traversable area in my advantage and just put down a few of the rocks sometimes, or just put down the elephant's grass like that close that the hippos would not be able to walk through it. So I basically just made a natural boundary, really using the traversable area in my advantage in this case. So their area is pretty much reduced to the area where you see them now, and at least that will make sure that the staff can still go there to feed them. Like, I do have a few barrel feeders, which I don't really like to use in this specific park, but I don't know, for some reason I just feel bad if they don't have any spots in this whole area where they can have some food. So I just put down some barrel feeders, and the staff members are still able to walk into this area, but the hippos are not able to get out of it. Once we will add smaller animals, I'm pretty sure that they will be able to walk just everywhere, but I just can't do anything about that. And I don't think it's that bad to see, like, for example, warthogs or anything like that just walking there in a later stage. But I just really wanted to make sure, you can see me doing it in the video too, that I'm trying to reduce the traversable area to just one specific area in between this habitat. But yeah, I don't really mind if smaller animals will be able to walk here, but for some reason, like the bigger animals, I will probably do the same thing for the elephants in a later stage, to give them one specific area so it at least feels like they are herding. And also you will see me raising the track a little bit to make some kind of natural boundary out of it, and I just put down a lot of small rocks and stuff to really give them a separate area inside of this bigger habitat. And I'm really looking forward to use the other side for probably the cheetahs or something like that, to really get a more grassland area, like a more plain area with the cheetahs. I really like that idea. We also can make some kind of area for the lions, of course. I'm really looking forward to that. But also like African wild dogs and stuff. Oh my god, there are so many animals I want to add in this area. So I'm really curious how this will look in a later stage, but I have so many cool plans. And I will probably lower the terrain area a little bit more on the other side to really get that natural boundary between the track of the Jeep Safari. So we can use that in our advantage to really get separated areas. So yeah, that is probably the plan for next episode. Also about the other episode we did with the waterfall, where I told you guys that I wasn't really sure what kind of animal I wanted to add in that area. You guys really gave a lot of different ideas, and I think the most common ones were flamingos, the Nyala, and the Nile monitor. Obviously, a lot of you gave a lot of other ideas, but they were all animals that are not in the game, unfortunately. So I really would like to know, if you guys, if you want to see the flamingos, the Nyala, or the Nile monitor in that area with the waterfall section, so we can really separate that too from the bigger area. So I'm really looking forward to hear what you guys feel about that. Now, if you're not watching my franchise mode series, which is totally fine, but I talked about the fact that I really felt of Inama Zoo having the lack of really building shelters, building restaurants, and those kind of things, because I really want to keep this park really natural. I decided to start building a new sandbox zoo. So that's going to be more of a city zoo like we're doing with franchise mode, but then really just plain sandbox mode with unlimited money and really build something beautiful from the start. So I'm probably going to start with that somewhere this weekend. I'm still working on the first episode of the entrance. I'm really happy with it, but it still needs need some tweaking and stuff. So I'm probably going to start at the end of this weekend, or at least at the end of this week, so we can really have some different things going on the channel, because I really love franchise mode, but it's a different mode of, the game itself. So having another sandbox park next to Inama Zoo totally makes sense to me, so we can really focus on more building and stuff. And I want to have it a little bit more of a classic vibe with more of an older zoo feeling, so with a little bit of a more smaller habitats and stuff, and more focusing on detailing and gardening, because Mike teaches us so much about gardening, so I'm really just looking forward to that. So just so you know, you can still see my YouTube schedule. I will link it in the description in every video, so you can just check my YouTube schedule when you know when Inama Zoo comes up, or when a new zoo comes up, or franchise mode, or any other games we're going to play on the channel. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on that. And I just wanted to inform you guys, so I will probably upload 1, maybe sometimes 2 videos of Inama Zoo a week, but we're also going to focus on something else, so we can really have some variety on the channel, and I'm just really looking forward to that. So yeah, do let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this new episode, and if you're excited for our new sandbox series, what animal you want to see in the area of the waterfalls. And yeah, leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed, of course, and subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And I really hope to see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys.
Tena
Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is the Lady Designer. We are back with another episode of Inama Zoo. And for those who don't know, this is a park we started like several months ago. I have no idea when. But we just never really continued it, not because I didn't want to or that I ended the series, but just because I wasn't really feeling creative for this zoo. But thanks to someone that was watching my Twitch streams who lives in Africa and was sending me pictures of the Kruger Park, I was just like, oh my god, I just really want to get back to Inama Zoo. I don't know, I just really felt like I wanted to finish off this zoo. Obviously, I'm not going to finish it in this episode, but we're going to do a lot of changes in this episode. So I started off with like one big habitat for basically all the animals, and I wanted to divide all the areas with natural boundaries for the animals. But the big problem actually was that with like such a big habitat and only a few keepers, you are just not able to keep the habitats clean. It's super big for the keepers to walk from one side to the other side. So yeah, it just annoyed me a little bit that it was not really possible how I wanted it to be. So what I now did was like dividing the areas into several habitats. We still have the big habitat, which also still works. So we have one big habitat on the outside for like smaller animals, such like the black wildebeest, the ostrich, the warthog, the zebra, and the Thompson gazelle. These are now added, but we're definitely going to add more animals to it, obviously. But I wanted to create a separate habitat for the elephants and for the giraffes. So basically, I started off with like a tunnel underneath the main path section for the staff, so I will be able to get like the gate closer to the habitats themselves. So I ended up with like underneath that big dome you see. You can also rewatch how I built that in episode 1, of course. I built like this facility building section for our staff to be able to have everything closer and nearby to them to use. So we have a big habitat for the elephants and the giraffes, as I just said, and we also have one big habitat for the hippo section we build in this zoo. Well, I'm not really gonna call it a zoo. It's a wildlife park. I really wanted to have it like this really natural reserve. Not really the feeling of a zoo, but I just really can't avoid like putting in some of the airlock doors for the track ride. So yeah, some things I'm going to try and hide it as much as possible, but some things just don't really feel that natural as you would want it to be. But I just don't feel like I'm able to do what I want to do in this zoo with avoiding using those things. So yeah, I'm just going to use it and try to hide it as much as possible in a later stage. And obviously the track ride itself, we're also going to hide away a lot underneath the ground. You will probably see it every now and then in some areas because I want to see where it's going. But in the end, when everything is finished, most of the track will be completely underneath the ground, really giving the feeling that the car is driving on its own with like a guide going through the wildlife park or something like that. So we have this big waterfall area in the corner of this map. Now, I am thinking, because we spoke about that in one of the episodes, I remember that I wasn't really sure what kind of animals I wanted to add there in that region. And there were a few options. So some people said the Nile monitor, some people said the flamingo, and some also mentioned the Nyala. So I'm probably going to add the Nile monitor there, and hopefully I'm able to put the Nile monitor only in like that water section to get that natural, realistic feeling of the Nile monitor really living there. But that's going to be a challenge because that whole mountain area is a little bit harder to put down a gate for the staff and stuff. But I think with a little bit of creativity, we will be able to manage it and to add the Nile monitor there. Also in the mountains, I was thinking like, is there some kind of hooved animal that is like a really good climber? And I'm unsure actually a little bit, like if most of the African animals are more grassland, savanna animals. I'm not really sure. So if there is anyone of you out there that knows like what kind of African animals would really fit in like a mountain area, I would really love to hear that in the comment section down below. So thank you already in advance for that. So I have for myself a little bit the feeling that maybe on one side we could maybe add the Aardvarks, and on one side we could maybe add the Okapi. So that was my feeling, but like the Okapi will get like a very lush area, and also for the Aardvark just a little bit. But I don't know why I found something, I think on the internet or so, when Googling, like when you go to the Kilimanjaro, you need to be aware that you will also be able to find some Aardvarks. I think something like that in between those lines. So that's why I thought like, okay, maybe then the Aardvarks. But I'd rather have like the Dall sheep, like a very good climbing hooved animal. I think that would just be super cool, but I'm just not really sure what kind of animal that should be. And obviously the Dall sheep is not coming from the African region, so that is not the one we can pick. But yeah, I'm just really curious what animal you guys would suggest for that. There are tons of African animals in the game, so I bet that there will be some animal I'm just missing out on that I'm not really sure of, that it's really a mountain animal. So a lot of time went into fixing this whole zoo, because once I got like the habitats cleared for the elephant and the giraffe, I had to do a lot of fixing escaping points and stuff, and then they all got babies. And also for the hippos, they got babies, and then I had to do it again. So there were so many escaping points, and that's a downside because you're like really trying to work with the natural boundaries. So a lot of elephant grass or like small little rocks that you really don't have the feeling that there is a natural boundary, even that it feels like just one big habitat, but still you're able to keep the certain animals in their section of the zoo. So yeah, I think it's really interesting, but yeah, it takes also a lot of time and fixing to arrange this. Like I had a lot of issues when I added the warthogs. The naughty warthogs are just incredible naughty, and I had so many issues with them. But in the end, I was able to fix it and to make sure that they were not able to walk everywhere. But still, like if you're working with these kind of natural boundaries, you have to make sure that at least the smaller animals are in like the biggest habitat of them all. It's going to be a challenge when I'm going to add like the wilder animals such as the lion, the African wild dog, and the cheetah. Like seeing a warthog walking in their habitats, that's going to be interesting. But obviously we're playing in sandbox mode, so they won't really kill one another. But I'm curious what is going to happen when I get some warthog babies. I think that's going to be even harder to manage, where they will be able to walk and where not. I already had to remove the ostrich chicks because, yep, just like in my franchise series, it was just incredible hard to keep those guys at the spot you want them to be in. So some animals have contraceptives now because, well, it's just super hard to manage in the zoo I'm trying to build here. So yeah, a lot of fixing during this whole time. I wasn't even recording everything, but yeah, we did a lot of fixing for it. So yeah, as I just mentioned at the beginning of the ride, I'm probably going to add the cheetah and the African wild dog. Both are more like grassland savanna animals, so I'm probably going to add I'm probably not going to build like super crazy mountainish areas for them. I'm trying to still stay in the natural biomes, but it's honestly hard. Like we did a lot like focusing on the real biomes of South Africa, but it also really burnt me out in that way. Like there are not that many biomes, and well, there are many biomes, but it was just really hard to get those resembled in the game, and I think that really made it harder for me to continue with this zoo. So I'm trying to let go of that a little bit. Still, I'm obviously using pictures of the Kruger Park as examples and stuff, and then like the real biomes in Africa, but I'm trying to let go a little bit more of the realistic biomes because it's gonna be super hard. And in the end, it's just also about having fun, and I just really want to finish this zoo and don't want to be like, oh yeah, I start a zoo but I don't finish it. Like I really always try to finish what I start with, even though it sometimes takes some time. Just like this, I'm really going to push myself to finish as many zoos as possible, at least when I speak about sandbox mode. I can't really speak about franchise mode because, well, if you go bankrupt or anything, or just, I don't know, that could be more of a reason to stop building in that zoo. But yeah, especially for sandbox mode, whatever happens, I just really want to try to finish up all my zoos in the end. And I'm just, in general, really happy with how this whole zoo is coming along. It's super beautiful. I did this during a live stream, or I did the beginning of this video during a live stream, so sometimes you see a little bit of like weird images or like me standing still, and then I'm just like, I'm so much enjoying the view here, and it's all so pretty and so beautiful. And it just works really well, and it's just super awesome to finally see some more animals in the zoo, because we actually only had the hippos and the elephants, I think. I'm unsure actually. I think we only had those two animals, and during the live stream I was like, okay, I'm gonna add this animal, and I'm gonna add that animal, and I'm gonna add this animal, and I had so much fun just adding all these animals. But oh boy, the fixing was kinda a thing. But yeah, in the end, it's totally worth it. Something completely different as what we were doing in City Zoo and like our desert franchise mode. So it's fun to have different types of series going along on the channel. And once this one is finished, we may be able to look into like starting a new sandbox series. But I just am refusing to do anything else new before this one is finished. So yeah, I think we just have to finish this one and create something awesome out of this. And who knows, then maybe we can do like a super modern zoo or something like that. I have no idea yet. Maybe something like with a lot of wood and like a tundra biome. I have no idea, but that's for like in months we talk about. So I'm not going to talk about that too much now. That's just me rambling again. So yeah, without further talking, just enjoy the rest of the speed build video, and I will see you guys at the end of this video to show you guys around. So for those who are new to the channel, welcome to Inama Zoo. Inama means wild animals, so Inama Zoo Wildlife Park. This is the area where we have a big work in progress still, and as I mentioned, like these airlock doors for the Jeep Safari, I'm going to hide them as much as possible. And the same goes for all of these fences right over here. This is all meant to be going away in a later stage. At least I hope that I'm able to do that, because that is going to be the challenge with all these naughty animals. But yeah, so we have this big area right over here with a lot of smaller animals. So a black wildebeest, the ostrich, the warthog, the zebra, and the Thompson gazelle right now. But we're going to add a few more, and they are basically able to walk all the way from this. This section is for them basically. So the giraffes and the elephants are not able to get in here, but they are able to walk in here. Some of the smaller animals are even able to walk in here. This is the hippo habitat on this side, and yeah, I'm going to try to avoid them for getting into this section, because I want to expand this section for a cheetah habitat. I want to expand this section for a African wild dog habitat. And here in the mountains, we're going to, yeah, well, as I said, I really would like to know if there is some kind of hoofed animal that we can add here in the mountains maybe. I'm actually thinking to maybe just add the okapi right over here in a very lush and dense area. And maybe the aardvarks on this section. But if you guys have any other tips or suggestions, do let me know in the comment section down below. So for this waterfall section, I want to dedicate this for the Nile monitor. I think it's cool to have at least one kind of reptilian animal in our zoo. So I think when we do some work and we are able to make sure that the Nile monitor is not able to go out of here, I'm really hoping that I'm able to make sure that it stays in the water as much as possible, and maybe a little area right over here if it's not too steep. I don't know. We have to make something to make it work, but I'm super up for that challenge. So yeah, we have this bigger section, and over here we have a new airlock here. There used to be just a track ride going underneath here, but to make sure that the animals were not able to walk from one side to the other side, I added this airlock door for the Jeep Safari underneath here. And I think that fits really well actually with the wood pattern we already have here. It matches completely. So yeah, the guests can walk towards here and then look into the hippo habitat, where we now finally have some cute little baby hippos, and we now have this as a separated habitat for the hippos to stay in. So the keeper has like its gate door right underneath here, which you can barely see, which was definitely my intention. Hiding away this one as much as possible because, well, it's not really realistic, but they do need some food and stuff. And as you can see, the warthogs are still able to get into this habitat, and probably baby warthogs too, if we have them already in our zoo. I'm pretty sure they're gonna be a lot of trouble again with the baby warthogs, but we shall see about that. So what I really like about this is that now you barely see it, but this is the habitat for the giraffes and the elephants, and this is the habitat for the hippos. So you can barely tell that these two are separated habitats, and I just really like that you can really barely tell that this is a natural border in between. So that is really cool. So for the giraffes and the elephants, there's also a gate right underneath here, so also that the guests will not really be able to tell that there is a staff keeper gate. But we had to, because I remember when we first put down a lot of elephants, all this poop, and then having keepers coming from only that one door section right in this corner all the way to here to be able to clean it. It was just not doable. So yeah, I just have to had to do this because, well, there's not really a cheating option where your animals will not poop, do they? And also these kind of things, well, they need food. I might for the last tour maybe delete this or anything, but we just have to live with it. We can't make it like super realistic with all these barrels and stuff. Look at these cute little elephants. They're so adorable. So yeah, we still have a lot of work to do, and but it's coming along quite nicely. It took some time to make sure that we had some really separated areas, but now we have this. I think we can just focus on adding more animals now, and finishing off this area with a beautiful waterfall again, and get something cool here with maybe a jungle with some gorillas. So yeah, I'm really excited to start doing some more work in Inama Zoo, and I'm not gonna put myself on any schedule, so not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna upload this once every week. It's probably once every other week or something like that. Don't pin me on this, but we're definitely going to make a good start of finishing Inama Zoo. So yeah, do let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of this new progress in Inama Zoo. If you have any tips or suggestions, do let me know in the comment section down below. Leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed, and subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And I just really hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye, guys!
Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is The Lady Designer, and we are back with another episode of Inama Zoo. It's been a month, but as I said in a previous episode, we're getting back to Inama Zoo, but we're not going to have a proper schedule or anything. So I'm going to squeeze an episode in every now and then, and here we are with another episode, which is for the cheetahs. So I'm really excited to add these animals because they're super beautiful, and I can't even remember. It has been super long since the last time I've added the cheetah. I think that was in Mainland Zoo. I'm not really sure if I ever had them in my franchise zoo. So I think Mainland Zoo, which is like last year probably, or beginning of this year. So it's been a really long time. But they're really amazing animals, and especially their cubs are just super adorable. So yeah, I'm just really happy that we're finally going to add the beautiful cheetahs in Inama Zoo. The cheetah lives more in a grassland savanna area in Africa, so I didn't want to go crazy in this habitat. I really wanted to make sure that they have this more plain open area, open field where they could run around, but I really soon noticed that it was a little bit too boring, so I decided to make a few tweaks and changes here and there. But as I said also in the previous episode, the reason why it took so long to get back to this series was really because I just wanted to go for a more realistic approach, and that kind of burned me out, that I wasn't really sure anymore what I should do. So that's why I wanted to let go a little bit more of the realistic stuff. Obviously, we're still trying to approach a realistic habitat and stuff, but it's going to be less than like the plan when I started this series, because else I'm just don't really feeling it. So I'm just giving it a little bit of my own twist here and there, and also try to still have this kind of realistic approach to it. But I just feel like for me, it works way better to continue this series by letting that a little bit go. So we start off with the track. Like, the track was first a little bit shorter. Like, I obviously just put down a track to make sure that we had a track, and later on when we do more detailing, we're going to plan out exactly where we want the track to be. So I wanted to make sure that the track is completely hidden away like we do in most of the areas. But yeah, at some point you can't really hide it that much away. So we're just gonna pretend that there is like a man-made bridge or anything like that. Or maybe I will try to hide it with some kind of man-made bridge in the end. But I do try to like draw out the track with, I think in this case, it's a little bit of a rock terrain painting. Just to give the idea of that is the track they always use to drive the jeeps around in this wildlife park. But yeah, I just in general just really love to have this more natural open feeling without seeing the track, so only having the jeep safari going around. The jeep safari is actually quite a thing, because I'm pretty sure that it's a complete track right now, but for some reason it's giving me errors. And I'm trying to not put too much attention to it, but I really wonder once I finish this if the track is even able to ride, because I don't know why I keep having all these problems. I tried to add another station to it, but it's still giving me issues. I tried to connect the station, so I don't know. I'm just gonna try and not pay attention too much to it right now, and once it's finished, I'm going to try and see if I can fix that in a later stage and make sure that we can have like a really cool ride, of course, of the whole safari ride. I think it's going to look really awesome. And if it's still not working, I'm just gonna send it to Frontier like, hey, I really have no idea what I did wrong. How can I make my track to work? I mean, they made the game, so I'm pretty sure that they can help out if it really keeps giving me errors. I don't know if anyone else has experience with that. Do let me know in the comment section down below if you know where there might be an issue, but obviously I can imagine it's gonna be hard for you guys to see for my zoo what will be the issue, so don't bother too much about it. I think it's gonna be fine in the end. So what I really wanted to do with this habitat is I wanted to make sure that you don't see any fences. So the terrain is really high, or well, really, it is high comparing to the rest of the area. So you actually just have like this natural boundary with the terrain itself to make sure that the cheetah is not able to go down. And we have, unfortunately, those big door gates for the track for the like the separation between the habitats. And I was actually working on those areas like to hide it away that you don't really see super obvious that there are like these gates. And then I was like, oh, but wait, I use elephant grass now, so the cheetah is not able to go to the other side. And I almost deleted the gate until I realized, oh wait, it was not per se for these type of animals, but it was for the naughty warthogs and like the baby ostrich and those kind of animals that are able to get into the cheetah habitat. So I almost forgot about that, and I almost deleted the doors again. Like, why am I having these doors? But that is to make sure that the warthogs and stuff are not able to go into the other habitat. So we're going to try and hide away these doors as much as possible from both sides, so you won't see them unless you go through them. So yeah, that's quite a challenge to make sure that the viewing is not being ruined or anything like that. But in the end of the day, I think it works just really well having these doors, yeah, as much hidden as possible. So as I said, I really wanted to make sure that this habitat wasn't like super plain and boring with grassland. So that's why I decided to have like this cave going underneath the track. Well, it's not really a cave, it's more of a tunnel, I guess. But it also provides a little bit of shelter for the cheetah, and it gives a little bit of like different height variations in the landscaping. And I think that is something we really needed in this habitat to really create a little bit more of an interesting environment, because else it would have been super boring. And obviously, I wanted to give it a little bit more green. So here and there, I added some shrubs and some bushes and stuff. And a lot of trees, like the, I forgot the name, acacia umbrella tree. I'm not really sure if that is a name. Probably making a huge fool of myself. But you guys will see what kind of trees I mean, which I put down. Because I don't know, I just feel like those trees are just super common in like these more grassland savanna areas. And I really just love how they look. And we use them a lot too in the other sections of the bigger habitat with the elephants and the hippos and the giraffes and stuff. So yeah, I think it's just really cool to have these type of trees again in this habitat too. But obviously, they're going to be more different habitats with a little bit more variations into it. So as much as I want to avoid like using enrichment items, I did use a few of them, like the zebra enrichment item and I think one pumpkin and a card box and another toy they can play with. Because at the end of the day, I was thinking of Koala Zoo and how smart Mike was and Rudy to create the whole track and like make sure that whenever the track reaches a certain area that the animals were walking there. And in the end of the day, I want to have like a cool safari track ride that really works and you can actually see animals. Like obviously you can do a lot when you make a video like, okay, I'm gonna make a tour out of the whole safari ride. I'm gonna cut every time there's no animal and gonna redo it again. But that's not what you want. You want to have a safari ride that works right from the start, that you at least can have one glimpse of each and every animal in every habitat ride. So yeah, that is at least the goal I'm going for, and hopefully that is going to work because as I said, I can't really test the safari track ride at all. So we really have to wait and see how that will go down in the end of the day. So in the last episode, I did ask you guys for good climbers for the mountain area we're going to work on. So we have this beautiful waterfall mountain area where we're probably going to add the Nile monitors in that water section. I'm super excited to start working on that because I think that's going to look super beautiful. And on the outside, I want to have two different habitats. So I want to have the mountain actually split into two areas. And my idea was to have the Okapi and the Aardvarks there. And it is so some people saying like, I can totally live with that. Like I can tell why you would add those type of animals, and especially the Okapi, as long as it's more of like a little bit more dense foresty area for the Okapi, because they're pretty shy animals, so they do tend to like hide away more in between the bushes and stuff. So I think we're definitely going to add one animal on one side, the Okapi, and on the other side, I had a few suggestions. I also had the mandrill, the gorilla, and the lions. But I'm actually planning to have those three animals on the other side of the wildlife park. So like the back of the hippo area. And I might even also squeeze in the flamingos on that side too. I really love that idea. But I also love the idea to have like a more rainforest area on that side with like in between some kind of lake with the flamingos, and then you have like these peek throughs when you go through this rainforest with the Jeep Safari, and then you have this peek through the water section in the middle and seeing the flamingos. I'm not entirely sure yet where I'm going to add the flamingos, but yeah, the mandrill and the gorillas I definitely want to add on that side of the wildlife park. So the other suggestions I had were the bongo, my favorite bongo of this game. I really love those guys. The derpy bongo face. I'm actually tempted to just use the bongos again because the bongos are just my favorite. So with the Okapi on the other side, or then the Nyala or the springbok. I remember that we already spoke about the Nyala earlier to add it in that region. So I'm still having a little bit of doubt if I'm going to add the derpy bongo face or the Nyala, because the derpy bongo face is my favorite, but the Nyala, I can't really remember that I ever added them in any zoo that we built so far. I don't think we did. So I think I should go for the Nyala just because we never built a habitat for them. So yeah, I'm still a little bit in doubt. I don't know what you guys think. Do let me know in the comment section down below what you guys feel about that. So the last thing I wanted to point out was a question I got in the last episode was from Self-Aware Snow. And he or she asked, what keeps you entertained while playing Planet Zoo? Because you've been playing it for so long and it's all you make videos about, but you must take some breaks from it, right? It made me giggle a little bit. Like, I do indeed play a lot of Planet Zoo. I am planning to do a little bit more variation on the channel really soon, but I obviously also sometimes feel that the game is burning me out a little bit. And sometimes you just need a break from it. And I think for me also really works to have different zoos. So I can sometimes say, okay, I'm a little bit burnt out in this zoo right now, so I'm just going to play another zoo. But it of course also happens for me that I sometimes don't touch the game for a few days, just because I'm like not really feeling it. Like sometimes it does work that you're like, you just start building somewhere and you get into it. But sometimes you're just really not feeling it. And forcing yourself to be creative is like the worst thing ever. So no, of course I take breaks, and of course I take some time for myself and do not get burned out of the game. But also, including me, I also feel like we just need some new stuff in the game. So I am really ready for something else, even though I'm still surprised about myself that I keep building in all these zoos. But as long as I have fun, why not, I guess? So, but I'm curious how you guys feel about that, and if you ever feel like burnt out of the game, and how you manage to get back into the game. I'm really curious how you guys work with that and deal with that. So do let me know in the comment section down below. So now with this video ending, I really hope you guys enjoyed. Do let me know in the comment section down below. Leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed, and subscribe of course if you haven't already. And if you want to support the channel a little extra, you may want to consider to become a FaveFam member with the link down in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye guys! Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is The Lady Designer, and we are back with another episode of Inama Zoo. And in the last episode, we built a grassland, aka Savannah habitat for the amazing cheetah. And I really want to thank you all so much for your incredible support on the video and also on the channel itself, because we hit 100,000 subscribers this weekend, and I can't really describe in words how much this means to me. But thank you guys so much for your incredible support on each and every series on the channel. It really means the world to me. So thank you guys so much for that. So in this episode, we're going to build an okapi habitat, and you guys voted for this animal to come next for the next episode, because we obviously already know how many animals we want to have on the right side and what kind of animals, but I was just curious to see what kind of order you guys would love to see. What was your preference? So the first one was the Okapi, and after that the African wild dog, I think it was, and after that we got the Nyala or the Bongo or the Nile monitor, something like that. But it's gonna be fine. I was just really curious, and it's fun because since we did the grassland savanna habitat for the cheetah first, we now are going for a more jungle African forest-ish mountain. So yeah, this is definitely a way different habitat like we did for the cheetah, and I just really love to see how this mountain is getting shape. And honestly, the viewing from the top of this mountain is just absolutely stunning. So I really love it, and it really gives just a whole new dimension to our Inama Zoo in this case. So at the back of the habitat is the entrance for the keeper. I just extended the staff path that is going through the middle or underneath the ground through the middle, and I extended that path to make sure that we have a keeper gate in the backside. Please do keep in mind that this is mostly built for the Jeep Safari itself. So yeah, we're still it is a little bit different than the boat safari. The boat safari we're doing right now in a different zoo is really built for only the boat safari itself. Now this zoo also has this main plaza in the middle of the zoo, and that one also has a beautiful viewing, of course, but the rest around the Jeep Safari track ride is mostly built from the viewing point from the Jeep Safari itself. I'm doing a little bit extra, but the most important thing is obviously the Jeep Safari itself. So I started off with painting the mountain and trying to put down the rocks and stuff where I want them to be, and make sure that the traversable area of the Okapi would not be hurt too much. So I want to make sure that the Okapi is still able to walk up and down of the mountain, because obviously it is very important to have the okapis on different sections. Now normally you would have 2 okapis in a habitat, but because this is a huge habitat, I added 2 okapis more just in case that, well, I just want to make sure that you will see an okapi at some point when you're driving in the Jeep, obviously. So I want to make sure that we see okapis. It's a little bit like the same what I did with City Zoo and the cassowaries. I added 4 cassowaries just to make sure that I had some cassowaries in my cinematic shots. But that is basically a little bit of the same reason here, but now we work towards the viewing point of the Jeep Safari itself. So I obviously had to make sure, because this mountain area is going to be divided into 2 habitats. So this particular part of the mountain is for the okapis, and on the other side of the mountain we're going to have probably the Nyala and the Aardvark. I think we're just going to combine the 2 in the habitat. I have no idea if the Aardvark will be able to really climb up on the mountain, but we will see about that, obviously. And in the middle section of the water, there is going to be the beautiful Nile monitor. I don't think we have to do too much for that habitat. I only need to make sure that the Nile monitor is not able to swim out towards the bigger section. I think it's going to be even more challenging when we have some babies in, but maybe I need to take care of that and give them some contraceptives. But maybe we can also squeeze that in with the episode of the Nyala and the Aardvarks, because I think we don't really need to do too much work for the Nile monitor to add it also in our zoo. So that's going to be super exciting, because I love the Nile monitors. So I'm just super excited to see them in our zoo soon. So I started off, as I said, with a lot of rocks and stuff to draw out the mountain. After that, I really tried to put down the bigger trees. I think I only used 2 type of trees to make sure to put them down in the right area. So really from the point of view from the Jeep, and to make sure that the biggest trees are put down in a good way, to also still have sunlight and not too much shade everywhere. So I really paid attention to where I put down all my trees at some point, and I think it worked out really well. After that, I started with putting down the bushes, and I think they're called ferns, I'm not really sure yet, like mostly the apple trees. I sunk them down into the ground too, and I really wanted to make sure that it looked more darker green and more dense, because that is like the biggest downside of this biome in my opinion, that you can't really get like the darker brown color for like mulch, for example. So yeah, that is the only thing, especially when you're going to do these kind of rainforests, it is really hard to get like really that darker feeling. And I am honestly not going to put down real mulch like you have in the game right now everywhere on the mountain. I honestly don't want to spend hours on that. So yeah, we have to just look through it, I guess. And I tried to do my best to make it as dark and dense as possible. And the good thing is that the Okapi can walk through most of the apple trees and stuff, so I think that at least has like that feeling that the Okapi is really going through the forest and stuff, so I really do like that. And obviously, to make sure that the Okapi would be using the mountain, like it's a pretty steep mountain, but we going up and down, we have several enrichment items. We have enrichment items on the top, so like a feeding tray and the rubbing pillar, and we have a water pipe hidden because I don't like the water pipe, but I wanted to make sure that was a little bit of water on top of the mountain too. And down of the mountain, you will find a bigger lake. That lake is more in the style of the grassland area, because the grassland area for the elephants and for the giraffes is also on that side. So I wanted to make sure that that blends in a little bit more. So the mountain is really more foresty, dense and darker. And then when you come down out of the mountain, then you will have like this more grassland, but still a little bit of the trees from the mountain, just really something to make it blend in more from the two different sections. And obviously a pond to make sure that the Okapi can also drink underneath. And there's also like this leaf thing, enrichment item, not really sure how that one is called, but like that wooden frame with like those leaves hanging from it. So yeah, that one is also down the hill, so to make sure that the Okapi will also be attracted a little bit more to walk down again. Another thing that is really good to mention is that I was able to fix the Jeep Safari. I was actually messaging Shantae from Frontier Development. She's the community manager of Planet Zoo, and I was like, gee, you know, I just really am not able to fix my Jeep Safari for some reason. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because I also have my boat safari, and the boat safari just works with like, if you not even have the track connected, you can already test the boat safari. And for some reason that just didn't work with the Jeep Safari. Like I have a complete track going completely around, I have one station, but it still didn't work. But the difference is the rides just work different. So for the Jeep Safari, you really have to make sure that indeed you have a complete track, but you also need to make sure you have an exit station, you have an entrance station, and you have them connected to the path. So you really need to have a completely connected station, because then you are able to test the ride. So okay, we know that now. So now I have a working Jeep Safari, which is really nice and useful, because now I can really test to see, especially in this region, that's very useful, to see if like trees and branches and stuff are going through the Jeep Safari, so I have to move them or rotate them a little bit. So yeah, it's very useful that we now have a Jeep Safari that works. And for everyone that had no idea either like how that works, you need to make sure that your station is completely connected, including your entrance and your exit. So make sure you connect that, and then you can just test your Jeep Safari as much as you want to. So as I said, like I'm going to show you guys a cinematic shot at the end of this video, but the top of the mountain is definitely one of my most favorite areas in this whole Inama Zoo. I think it's beautiful looking down towards that big dome we have in the middle of Inama Zoo. I think it just looks really beautiful, and I'm really curious to hear what you guys think about that. And as mentioned, like the next stop is probably going to be the African wild dogs, and after that we're going to finish off this mountain with probably an episode with the complete Nyala, Aardvarks, and the Nile monitor, and I think it's going to be beautiful. So I really hope to see you guys there, of course, again. But without further talking, please do enjoy the rest of this speed build video. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of this new Inama Zoo episode. Again, thank you guys so much for the 100,000 subscribers. I really appreciate it. And of course, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much again for your amazing support. And I really hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys!
Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is the Lady Designer. We are back with another speed build video of Inama Zoo, and in this episode we're going to build the African wild dog habitat. And as you have seen, I first made some kind of hole, aka ravine. I'm not really sure if ravine is the right English word for it, but hopefully you guys know what I mean. So I created some kind of hole into the ground, and I extended it actually because it was already there for the cheetah habitat, to just make sure that the African wild dog is not able to get out of their habitat, and also to make sure that it feels more like a natural border. And obviously we also make sure that we hide away the Jeep Safari track ride. We really want to give it the feeling that it is all natural, but you will still see like the drawing out of the track. I used the rock terrain tool for that to give it a little bit more of a darker feeling, and I used the rock tool for that because the soil tool is not really that dark in this biome, so that's why I'm using the rock tool, the smooth rock tool in this case, and I'm using that in like the whole zoo. You will sometimes see a little bit of the track, but mostly you will see just a little bit of a drawing out from some rock terrain painting where the track will go for the Jeep Safari. So I had to make sure that, of course, this was a separate area for the African wild dogs to stay in, because this one is in between, in between the cheetah habitat and also for the giraffe habitat. Well, it's basically in between everything. But we had to make sure that, especially with the mountain, because this is right before they go up on the mountain, and we have like one part of that mountain for the Okapi, which we did in the previous episode. But there now still is like this separate area in between the African wild dog and the Okapi, which is meant to be for the Aardvarks and the Nyala. Those are the animals I am going to add in that specific area. But it was quite hard to create like this, to divide these two areas on the mountain, because you really don't want the African wild dog to go up on the mountain to basically eat the Nyala or the Aardvark. So you really want to make sure that it is separate, but you still don't want to use too many doors. Like, I really cringe of these huge big doors that divide these habitats, but I sometimes just am forced to use those. But before the mountain track, I really don't want to see any doors, so I really had to use like a lot of rocks and a lot of elephant grass to make sure that there is this that this is divided into two different areas. But it's gonna be a challenge again when we get maybe some puppies in. Like, all babies seem to be even more challenging to make sure that the traversable area is right and it works well and they're not able to escape. A lot of time went into like making sure that the African wild dog is not able to escape from this habitat, and I did do that all off camera. So yeah, the video itself is probably a lot shorter than I wanted it to be, but I did do a lot off camera to make sure that the African wild dog is really only in this section of its habitat and not going to other animal habitats in this case. So there is this really ugly connection of the staff door. We need a staff door. We need keepers to be able to get into the habitat and to clean it, because else we get like a poop overload if we keep it like one big habitat for all the animals. So yeah, I unfortunately had to add another gate in here, but I really make sure that you won't be seeing that the staff gate from the track ride itself. So it's pretty much hidden away still, but still reachable for the keepers to give the animals food and stuff. So yeah, there has to be one at least, and you guys will probably only see that right now during the speed builds and when you will download the zoo later on. But yeah, it's quite unfortunate that you have to add these gates in your habitats in order to make sure that your keepers are able to provide them with food and clean the habitat. But in this way, to hide it away, it's the easiest way to fix that, I guess. So I started off with like drawing out the habitat with some, I always ruin the name, but the umbrella thorn acacia tree. I did wrote it down now, but I probably still don't pronounce it right. I'm sorry for that. But yeah, I tried to draw it out first to get like a good sight line of how I wanted it in the base to be, and later on I added like a lot of shrubs and a lot of more denser areas. Like this habitat is a lot smaller than the cheetah habitat, and if you have seen the cheetah habitat episode, you would know that that habitat is really more focused on grassland and like really more open. There are barely any sections there with like more shrubs and stuff. I think only 1 or 2 sections. So, and I do really want to try to give every habitat still its own vibe and a little bit of a different area and a different use of trees and bushes, or yeah, I don't know. But I really want to try to not make the exact same habitats for each and every animal. But both the cheetah and the African wild dog are both grassland animals, so it was quite hard to achieve that. But in the end, the African wild dog has a little less grassland open area. It still has it, but there are also a lot of more tree clusters and bushes clusters on the edges of their habitat. So it is a little bit more green in the end, and a little bit of terrain forming. I didn't do too much. And of course, in comparison with the cheetah, we did more of like a cave going underneath the track ride, for example, so that really created some kind of different elevation in the terrain itself. But yeah, this habitat in general is a little bit more rough comparison to the cheetah habitat, so I really do like how this one has turned out. And obviously I did hide away like a few feeders, like we have the meat feeder plate that I tried to hide away with like a little bit of rocks. And still I want to add a little bit more enrichment items to make sure that the animals are still visible for the guests that are in the Jeep Safari. So yeah, we still want to try to attract those animals coming closer to the track ride so we can at least see the animals from the track ride. I think that's still very important. And the water pipe for them to drink, because we don't have a water section in this habitat either, is hidden away at the entrance of the staff gate, because well, you know my love-hate relationship with that one. Well, I don't really love it. I just hate it. So what I actually wanted to do, I wanted to give the whole area a little bit more detailing, and I actually started to use the temple pieces. It's like a little, I don't know, you will see it later on in the speed build video, but it's like a little piece that just makes it a little bit like small little rocks. Just sink it into the terrain and it will give a little bit more detailing, as if there are like a lot of small rocks. It's really a pity that we can't recolor these little rocks, because they look really great. They actually look fantastic, but these are one of the pieces of the South America pack that we did not get as recolorable, and I still don't really get it why a lot of the temple pieces are also in a version to recolor, but these are the pieces that you can't really recolor, so that is quite a pity. But I really do still like the use of it, even though they're a little bit too light for my taste, but I think it definitely works to give a little bit more of a different environment in this biome. So I really do like it in the end that I use these for a little bit more details and a little bit more contrast. So you also see me adding some kind of sunken or fallen log. It's not really the best biome to use it for. I do realize that. I saw a lot of pictures in my Discord server of someone that lives in South Africa, and he made a lot of pictures. I saw a lot of pictures with like fallen logs and stuff with like African wild dogs, so it really reminded me of that. But it's just really hard with the type of trees and fallen logs that we have in a game to really resemble that. But I just really wanted to add something with a fallen log, so yeah, that is why I still added that one in. Like you just have to imagine that there's like some kind of hole underneath it in real life, and they will just be chilling underneath there, getting a little bit of shade of the log, those kind of. So that was like a little bit of the feeling I was going for, but at the end of the day, it does not really match the environment, if I'm completely honest. But I just really wanted to add something like that. And also what I tried to do was using the cherry blossom trees for a little bit more contrast and a little bit more branches in a more denser areas. I don't know, I'm feeling that I'm sometimes missing out on seeing like those real logs and real branches in the more denser area. So I think that kind of works out well with the cherry blossom trees. Just sink them down a little bit more in the ground and you still at least see a little bit more of the branches sticking out of all the bushes and stuff. So I do really like that. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this habitat. Like obviously it's a grassland savanna habitat, so I can't really go too crazy again with the details, but I'm really looking forward to the mountain habitat where we're going to add the Nyala and the Aardvarks in. So that is going to be again a completely different area than we're building right now, and it will be fitting more in the biome of the Okapi that we recently built. I'm still super happy with how that one has turned out, and thank you guys so much for your incredible support on that. You guys really loved the view as much as I did, so thank you guys so much for your incredible support on that Okapi video. I really am happy with how that one has turned out above of the mountain with like the waterfalls underneath. It looks just really stunning. So thank you guys for that, and I obviously really look forward to hear what you guys think of this new, more grassland, more African savanna habitat for the African wild dogs. So do let me know in the comment section down below, of course. And I got a few questions I'm trying to hit before we hit the end of this video. Zach Wade says, here's an idea, maybe follow one of the jeeps as it drives through the exhibit so you can see things from the perspective of the guest. And yes, I totally get that. But we're not going to do that because obviously I want to save the POV of the Jeep Safari track ride for the last video. So that's why I'm never following the track ride in any of these episodes when we're still building. So you really have to be patient for the last episode to see the track ride itself with like the beautiful viewing from the guest point of view. So please be patient. But yes, we're definitely going to do that when everything is finished. And the same question, same answer actually basically goes for Mr. Allen, who asked, will you upload this to the Steam Workshop, please? Yes, I will upload this to the Steam Workshop, but I obviously want to make sure that everything is finished first before I upload it to the workshop. And that is basically with each and every zoo you see except for the franchise mode series, of course, because we can't upload those to the workshop. But yeah, definitely it will end up in the workshop later on, but it will take some time before this one is finished, so please be patient, but it will definitely come to the workshop for you guys to also just walk around yourself. So yeah, with the end of the video arriving, thank you guys so much for watching, really appreciate. Please do leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And if you want to support the channel a little extra, you may want to consider to become a FaveFam member with the link down in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye guys! guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is the Lady Designer. We are back with another speed build video of Inama Zoo, our African wildlife safari ride park. I have no idea how to call it. Anyways, we are back with another episode and we're going to build a habitat for the Nyala, the Nile monitor, and the Aardvark. And before people start commenting again about the Aardvark, I don't know why that is, but let's make it clear. The Aardvark can be found in the Kilimanjaro, so I think that's the second biggest mountain of Africa, or is it the biggest one? I'm not really sure, but anyways, it's a mountain. So yes, it does make sense to add the Aardvarks also on a mountain-ish area. So that's why we chose for the Nyala, the Nile monitor, and the Aardvark. Obviously, the Nile monitor is not really a mountain animal, but we have this beautiful river connected with waterfalls, so that's why we're also adding the Nile monitor in this episode. And the Nile monitor is actually only meant to be in the river section, but we have fish feeders right now, but the Nile monitor does not have any animations yet for this fish feeder. So I'm really hoping that in the future, Frontier will be updating the Nile monitor and the animations so we can have a fish feeder in this water section, and we can basically close off this river section from the rest of the mountain. Because right now I had to add a blood pumpkin and like a meat plate for these animals to get fed. So that is something that hopefully will be changed in the future as soon, or at least before we finish off this zoo. I really hope so, so we can have the fish feeder in the water instead of like the blood pumpkin and the meat plate. But for now, you guys know why I decided to have all these animals in one habitat, even though it will sound maybe a little bit weird. I'm not really sure how strong the Nile monitor is. I could see the Nile monitor, like if this would be real life, killing the Aardvark, maybe even Nyalas, or maybe the baby Nyalas. So yeah, obviously that does not make that much sense to put them in one habitat in that case. But yeah, that's why. So once Frontier will update the fish feeders, I will definitely make sure that the Nile monitor has its own little region in the water section. And as you maybe could tell in the beginning of the episode, I already put down a few of the jetty beddings. Now, actually, they're not really natural, but I really wanted to add them because that will also attract them a little bit more to the water section for the Nile monitors. So I really wanted to make sure that they had something, and it may not be supernatural, but I think that's definitely going to work well, especially if we're going to close it all off in the future. Then they still have this little area where they can chill outside of the water. So yeah, in the beginning of this episode, I really had to make sure, of course, again, that we make sure that none of the animals will be escaping from their habitat. Like obviously we keep everything natural, so we only have fences that you can't really see, so those are fences where the gate for the keeper is. But other than that, there are no fences. We only are using no fences. So each and every habitat needs to have a natural boundary. And especially with the Jeep Safari going through it, it's quite a challenge to get everything right. And also with like babies that will happen in the future, I decided to give all these animals in this habitat contraceptives, because especially with the Nile monitor, those babies are just so tiny. I am afraid that they will be able to escape. And the same goes for the Nyala babies. I think the Nyala babies are probably as small as, for example, for a pronghorn antelope or those kind of animals. And like, imagine the Warthog babies, they are also able to escape. So I don't want any escaping animals anymore. So yeah, I gave all these animals contraceptives just to be sure that they're not able to get any babies and we're getting issues again. And it's taken me tons of time to fix everything again. So yeah, everything does work still, so I'm really happy with that. So the Okapi, which is on the other side of the mountain, and the African wild dog on the other side of this habitat, they're not able to go into this habitat. So that is all working properly and fine, so I'm really happy with that. So obviously you have to make sure that you draw out, well, at least that is how I work. I always try to draw out where I want the trees to be. So I really go into the guest point of view, and then I will put down some trees and I will mix them a little bit. These are the same trees we use for the Okapi habitat. And I really try to put them down to my liking, and I really pay attention to
how I rotate them and those kind of things. I really want to make sure that the branches and everything looks just perfect. And then after that, when putting down the trees, then it's time to start doing the shrubs and of course the beautiful flowers. I think the tree is called the tamarind tree, and that one I use to sink down, like the smallest one, I sink that one down for the beautiful orange flowers because I really just love the color variation of it. It really blends in super well in like a lot of different biomes actually. So yeah, that's why I did use the tamarind tree to give it a little bit more color and variation. And also I did hide away a water pump at the, call it backstage area, the area you will not be seeing. I wanted to make sure that there is already a water pump, especially when we're going to close off the Nile monitor, because then they will not be able to drink from the river section anymore. So yeah, I already wanted to make sure that there is a water pump on the other side to make sure that at least the Aardvark and the Nyala are able to drink on that side as well. But you won't really see that from when you're riding in the Jeep Safari, obviously. And even though, like I said, like I'm using the same trees of the Okapi habitat, you can really tell this whole area is so much more different than the Okapi area. The Okapi area is, I think, a little bit more dense, a little bit more tropical, and especially also made for the Okapi to be able to hide away a little bit more because the Okapi is way more shy. But this one I kept more open and a little bit more bright, so there is more sunlight coming through all the trees and stuff, and I really do like that different variation in these habitats, even though you're still using the same type of trees and shrubs, obviously. And obviously at the end, I could not help myself to use the aquatic rocks. I just really like them, as you may know, and they really fit well in kind of every biome. I did had a little bit of issues with trying to find the right color. I think it's still not really fitting the Savannah color. It's a little bit more yellow, brighter-ish. But in the end, I don't really am bothered by it too much. So yeah, I tried to fit the color as best as I could. But yeah, it's sometimes a little bit hard. Like, it's not like you can create a screenshot from your screen and add it into Photoshop and then try to find the color. I tried to do that with the brown color of the otter habitat we did in City Zoo, but it wasn't that easy as it may seem. So yeah, it's still trying to find and really trying to look at the images like, okay, is this fitting or not? So yeah, that's kind of a challenge still. But nonetheless, I really do love the rocks, as you may know. So it really gives that little extra detailing touch of this whole area, which I absolutely love. Now, as you can tell, this video is a lot shorter. This area is just a lot smaller than the other areas, and it was a lot easier to finish off this little area. But I do still hope that you guys like the end result of this Nyala, Nile monitor, and Aardvark habitat. Do let me know in the comment section down below, of course. And in the next Inama Zoo episode, we're going to start building on the other half of the zoo. So this is going to be for probably the gorillas, maybe mandrills or chimpanzees, or the flamingos. I have an idea for the West African lion. So we still have a lot of African animals that we can build a habitat for in Inama Zoo. So I'm really excited for that. There is still one area that does not have any decoration on this half of the zoo, which is basically if you would go and walk in on the path on the right side, right away when you come in, where the ostrich is, and the warthog, and the zebras, and those kind of animals. That one I will try to do at the end, probably, of this series. I think that is going to be the same with the flamingos. They will probably be on the left side, so right on the opposite side of like the zebras and the ostrich and those kind of animals. So yeah, I think those two will be the last things we're going to do. So we're gonna have a really beautiful natural area also when the guests come in to look into. So that's going to be challenging, but I'm definitely looking forward to starting on the other side of this zoo. So yeah, as said, do let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of this new Inama Zoo episode. Leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed, and subscribe, of course, if you want to see more of Inama Zoo or any of my other Planet Zoo series. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye guys! Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is the Lady Designer, and we are back with another speed build video of Inama Zoo. And in this episode, we're going to add the West African lion to our zoo. And despite all the previous episodes that we were kind of planning out what we were going to do in this zoo, I changed plans completely. Well, not completely, but I did change some drastic plans. And that is that I am not going to add a gorilla, neither a chimpanzee, also not a mandrill or anything like that. The reason for that is because I was actually looking where I first wanted to start those type of areas. And that would basically be that I would have to change a lot in the area of the giraffe and the elephant. And I was looking around there and enjoying the view and everything because I already detailed everything over there with the tracks and everything. So it looks just so nice that I really didn't want to touch it. I didn't really see any way of like cutting it off into two sections, the Jeep Safari or anything like that. I just wasn't feeling it, and I was just feeling like, you know what, I should just not touch this area and I should just go and continue with the track ride how I was planning the West African lion habitat and the rest of the zoo, as in like the flamingos, and finishing off the area with the zebras and the buffaloes and those kind of animals. We're definitely not going to add the gorilla and the mandrill, etc. Despite I was saying that I would. I'm very sorry for the people that were really excited for that. But I just don't feel that it's going to fit in the end with the plans I had in general for this zoo. So that also means that we are basically almost finished. Like I just said, we only need to build the flamingo habitat and then finish off the other side of the entrance for the zebra and the warthog and the buffalo and the ostrich, those type of animals with some really cool waterfall features and stuff. So that is definitely going to be the last episode, which I'm really looking forward to. And in between, we only will have the flamingo habitat, which is going to be on the other side of the entrance. So that is quite exciting actually, because that means that in 2 episodes we finish off Inama Zoo, and in 3 episodes, well, the 3rd episode will be a Jeep Safari video of the POV, or at least, well, is that going to be the 3rd one? Because I'm not really sure if I should also do something with a station. So I might do 1 extra episode with a station for the Jeep Safari itself. I'm not entirely sure yet about that. But yeah, I do hope you guys understand why I decided to do this, and that you can accept it and just enjoy what the plans still are for Inama Zoo, and that you're happy that we're almost finished. And if you have seen my other videos, I was already telling a little bit about my plans. When I finish off Inama Zoo, we're obviously having a spot free because I'm basically uploading 2 different zoos this week, 2 different zoos on the other week, and that is like basically rotating at the moment. So I think I want to add another zoo or another style zoo when Inama Zoo is finished, and that's probably going to be a more tropical zoo. I think that is definitely one of my favorite themes, or favorite biomes, I should say, of Planet Zoo. So that is something I really am looking forward to once Inama Zoo is finished. And it's not going to be as a koala zoo like an Indonesian zoo. There are like so many different styles you can go for a tropical zoo. So I'm definitely going to see what kind of style I want to go for this time. Like Mainland Zoo was obviously also a tropical Asian zoo, so it's might be a little bit similar to that, but I'm definitely going to try to make something completely different and definitely use a lot of the experience I have from Koala Zoo with different height elevations and stuff. So I am really excited to start something new again, because we already just started Ponta Zoo. So obviously you guys are not missing out on any new zoos. We have a lot of stuff going on right now, but I do really enjoy having this many different types of zoos, and also I do enjoy the feeling that we are now already closing Inama Zoo, and probably in a few weeks or a few months we're also going to be able to finish off the boat safari rides, and then we are also able to start another zoo again in a completely different style that may be something with the Indian theme, which I haven't touched barely in the game at all, and we have the game now for more than a year, so that is quite interesting. Definitely something I would love to try as well. So yeah, but maybe there is something completely different or a different style, or maybe even a pack that will change my mind completely for that. But I think the tropical zoo is definitely something I want to touch when Inama Zoo is finished. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. So about the habitat, as you maybe have seen, there is a Jeep Safari trek going actually in between the hippo habitat and the West African lion habitat. But I wanted to make sure that the West African lion is not able to climb up to the Jeep. So the Jeep is actually going around a habitat, or like one edge of the habitat, and not going through the habitat. So in this case, it's not gonna happen that a lion is in front of the Jeep, because if that would happen, then they would also be able to walk into the hippo habitat and probably also be able to reach the elephants and giraffe habitat. So that is definitely something we want to avoid in this case. So I made sure that there is like this steep slope. I'm not really sure if that is the right word for it, but it's like going vertically down basically from the trek ride itself. And you maybe saw me putting down like those flat rock formations, something that probably reminds you of the franchise zoo we did. I really do like that style of using rock, so I did use that for this particular area to make sure that the lions are obviously not able to climb up there or to jump up there. It's definitely deep enough, and the guests definitely have this open view into the habitat itself, so they have a really nice viewing point, in my opinion, into the habitat itself. Talking about franchise mode, for those who are wondering why I haven't uploaded anything yet, I was kind of a little bit burned out of franchise mode. Like, I already spoke about that a little bit during the episode. And all of a sudden, there was supposed to be an update with the multi-select tool of the franchise mode training center. So then they updated it with the aquatic pack. So I was super happy, and I was cleaning my other zoos, making sure, but like my whole training center was completely full, because I was like, well, multi-select, so I can really easily put them in another habitat and I don't have to select them all one by one. So I had like a full training center with like, I think 49 animals or 50 animals. And then all of a sudden, Frontier decided to reverse that change. So reverse that update. So the multi-select tool for the animals in the training center did not work anymore for franchise mode. And then I had a full franchise training center, and I was just very annoyed about that. And I just rage quit, basically. And I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to continue franchise mode anymore until they have fixed it. And there was an update today. I'm recording this voiceover on the 19th of January 2021. So today there was an update, and they made it clear that they still haven't fixed the issue with the multi-select tool for franchise mode again. So yeah, it's probably going to take a little longer or anything, but I think it's good to take a little break of franchise mode for myself, and maybe we will start a new franchise mode once we have a new pack or something. That will be fun maybe, and also just to finish off the desert too, probably. So yeah, I really hope you guys understand, but sometimes you just need to take a break of some things. Like, it's totally fine if you're getting a little bit burned out, and just find your way of other things that you do enjoy building in or working on. And for me, that is definitely sandbox mode in this case. So yeah, I really do hope that you guys enjoy that for the time being. We're obviously getting back to franchise mode at some point, but I just don't know exactly when. I really do hope that Frontier will be able to fix that pretty soon, and I'm able to clear that whole trading center again. But yeah, we have to wait and see about that. So normally, West African lions live in a more very grassland, more plain habitat, and that was at first a plan for the West African lion, but in the end, I actually changed my mind, and I wanted to make it a little bit more greener and a little bit more lush, because I don't know, I just felt like it looks so beautiful, and we already have like very plain grassland habitat on the other side with the cheetah and the African wild dog. So I wanted to do it a little bit different. This is a more lusher area in Africa where you would see some lions. And obviously we wanted to make sure that the lions are able to climb a few trees. I do remember, it's been a very long time ago, but I remember that we spoke about lions in Africa and then I saw a documentary about tree climbing lions, and there is like this particular smaller area in Africa where there are lions that live in the trees, which is actually really cool. They really taught themselves to live in the trees with their cubs. It's so fascinating. So I really had that in my mind when I was putting down the trees, like making sure that there would be animals, or there will be lions that will be able to live in the trees. Like obviously they don't do that in Planet Zoo itself, but just for the imagination, obviously. And of course, to really decorate the habitat itself, it was quite easy because I had a lot of blueprints, so I could do a lot of copy pasting in this case. But I really wanted to use the smaller rocks for like a bigger area in this case, because it's quite a big exhibit. So I really wanted to make sure that I had like these clusters of small little rocks to detail a lot more, and I think it just looks great. It definitely gives that finishing touch to your area, I think, with these small little rocks. So I do really love that. And also decorating around the water section itself, a little bit in the water, really to give a more realistic feeling, even though realistically you would probably fill like way more areas with those small little rocks. But I don't know, I just think that it definitely looks really well. And of course, spreading out some enrichment items to make sure that the guests are able to see the lions up close from the Jeep. Like it's not like a super long experience from the Jeep Safari to look into the lion habitat. So yeah, you want to make sure that the lions will be attracted at some point towards the Jeep Safari truck ride. So yeah, that is something I really kept in my mind when putting down the enrichment items for the West African lion. I didn't do too much of terrain work in this case because I really still had in my mind like you have a lot of flat land with the grassland area. So even though this is a little bit more lush, like you don't want to go too crazy with the land, obviously. So yeah, I do hope that you guys enjoyed this new episode of Inama Zoo. As said, we're only 2 more episodes probably away, at least 2 more speed builds, maybe 3, of finishing off this whole beautiful African wildlife zoo. So that is really awesome. I really hope you guys enjoyed this journey so far. We're not done yet. Do let me know in the comment section down below, of course. Leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And you can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and all other social media pages. So definitely find those links in the description down below. And if you want to support the channel a little extra, you may want to consider to become a FaveFam member with the link down in the description. And you may also get some early access to some of my videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye guys! Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is the Lady Designer, and we are back with another speed build video of Inama Zoo. And this episode, we're going to build a habitat for the beautiful flamingos. And we already had a river section, which is basically some kind of end section that comes down from the hippo habitat that is right next to it. And I really wanted to make sure that this water section is very shallow. Like, if you look at pictures in real life of Africa and you look at pictures from flamingos being in their natural biome, it looks absolutely amazing seeing like this big water section with flamingos standing in that water section with one leg, paw, I think it's a paw, paw up. I'm not really sure how you call it with birds actually. Can you help me with that? Do I say that right? Anyways, you guys know what I mean. With like one paw up or a flipper? No, it's not a flipper. Is it a flipper? Oh gosh, okay. Great start, lady. Great start. Anyways, help me out in the description down below. But yeah, you see like this big water section with flamingos standing there with that one thing. And it looks just super amazing and super beautiful. But obviously in this game, it's quite hard to get really shallow water. So I really had to improvise a lot and really try to get it right. So I used this 1 meter wall. And then I thought like maybe 50 centimeters or a little bit less will be alright. But at the end, when I added the flamingos at the end of this episode, I actually noticed that it was still quite deep and I really didn't want the flamingos to be swimming around or anything like that. So I actually just used the flamingo and put like this flat roof piece underneath it and was like, okay, probably this. And then when I put down that piece, the flamingo would actually be raised. So it was like quite easy in the end to really measure out how high I wanted the water to be. So yeah, I just had to change a little bit at the end of this video again to make it less or more shallow. But I think it definitely looks great in the end. So yeah, the goal at the end of this video is obviously to have this big water section with tons of flamingos. We actually added over 100 flamingos in this zoo, but I do have to admit it is quite disappointing how much the flamingos are just everywhere and not really focusing on the water. I was really hoping that they would be focusing more on the water and have like this big cluster in the middle of this water section, but it really didn't work out that way. But that is not me to blame, that is really to blame of the game mechanics itself, unfortunately. But Frontier, if you're listening, if there's any possibility to drag those flamingos more to the water, just like seals are in the water a lot, I know you can do it. So please do change those flamingos and their animations so they are more in the water, having this big cluster of awesome flamingos. That would be just super amazing. So yeah, other than like if you look at pictures of flamingos in Africa, you see beautiful pictures, but there is not really that much going on in their biomes, at least not what I can really see on the pictures. So the main focus is this water section. And obviously we're going to decorate around it a little bit with some trees and shrubs and a lot of small little rocks because it just looks absolutely amazing. And I also copied a few of the rocks of the hippo habitat, which is next to this habitat, because there are just really cool rock formations already in this zoo. And I don't really see any reason why I would put so much more energy in rebuilding rock formations and stuff while it's so easy to copy. So yeah, obviously in the same counts for those bushes and tree formations and stuff, there actually were a few trees in the grassland biome itself already in place and they're still in this habitat. So I actually did not remove most of those trees. They're still in there and I just added a few of those umbrella acacia trees, I think they're called. So I did have a few of those because I just really love those trees and I think they look absolutely amazing in this whole zoo. So I really wanted to add a few of those trees as well. So the backside of this habitat is the West African lion habitat, which we uploaded in the previous episode. So obviously you have to make sure that the flamingos are not able to escape and well, to even make sure that the lions and the flamingos cannot reach each other's habitat and those kind of things. But the flamingos are quite tricky when it comes down to escaping. So I had to work a few times off camera to really make sure that they were not able to escape from any place. Because I don't know, the flamingos have this annoying thing that they can also walk on the elephant grass. So it was quite a struggle sometimes to make sure that they were not able to escape. But obviously in the end, I managed to fix that and make sure that I used enough elephant grass and raise it up a little bit more to make sure that they were not able to get out of this habitat. So that is really cool. And also with the jeep track at the edge of this habitat, I really had to make sure that they were also not able to get on that jeep track. That was actually easier than having these big clusters of trees and bushes where they were able to walk over for some reason. So yeah, I know I'm not really sure yet how is the best way to do so, but I'm glad that it was fixed in the end. And now we have this beautiful habitat for the flamingos, which you're not able to escape from. So as you can tell, I really use a lot of these small little aquatic pack rocks throughout the whole video, basically, really trying to decorate this water section that we have to really give it this contrast and natural vibe. I really feel like these small little rocks really give that extra little touch of realism to your habitat. So yeah, I keep using them a lot these days, like maybe even too much, but it just looks so great and I'm kind of starting to get addicted to all these little rocks. I'm curious how you guys feel about that, but I just keep using them in all of my builds and it just looks super amazing. I really, really love them. So as you could tell also during the video, I added these enrichment items. I'm not really sure anymore how they're called, but these are just like special enrichment items for the flamingos. And yeah, that is quite a thing. Like they're really not very realistic and it was quite a thing to really hide them away, and thank God you can hide them away a little bit with the rocks, but still it's not really my favorite. But I really wanted to have something to attract these flamingos more into the water section because, as I said, they're not really dragged too much to the water section. So yeah, I really wanted to have at least 2 or 3 of these enrichment items to make sure that they were going to the water section a little bit more often. I'm not quite sure in the end if one still works. I know that one does work, but I have not seen a keeper filling the other one. What I did see was that one of the keepers, he actually walked into the water with like not an enrichment item in nearby, and he just threw food in the water, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my god, is this a thing? Did they actually change the keepers that they are going to feed the flamingos in the water like how I want it to be? But no, in the end it turned out I don't know. I think it just was a coincidence that he just walked into the water because it was so shallow and he just threw food in, which was really amazing. But later on, he just threw food on so many other places in the habitat, just not really in the water. So it was kind of coincidence, unfortunately. But that would be great, like having keepers just throwing in those shrimps, I think they're called shrimps, right? What also gives them like this beautiful pink color. So yeah, it would be super cool if they would stand there, just throw that food into the water. But no, I was wrong. Unfortunately, it was just a coincidence. But yeah, overall, I think the habitat looks really beautiful, except for like those 2 enrichment items, to be completely honest. I think they disturb a little bit of the view in my opinion. But in the end, I will just try to not look at them too much. I think it looks absolutely amazing with all these flamingos walking around in Inama Zoo. And this is actually just finishing up the whole left side of Inama Zoo. The only thing left right now is on the right side. We have this habitat with a huge variety of African animals with the zebra and the warthog and I think the buffalo and the ostrich and a lot more smaller animals and hooved animals. So that is the last habitat we're going to work on, which is going to be with a lot of waterfalls and something really beautiful. Like just think of the Nile monitor habitat in the mountains. I really want to create something beautiful that is just really stunning and a beautiful main feature area of Inama Zoo. So hopefully I'm able to do that. I'm really excited because that is the last habitat we're going to build. Then we only still need a station. I'm not really sure if I'm going to add the station in that same speed build video, just like the zebra and stuff, or maybe I'm not even going to do that and I'm just going to focus on a POV from exactly the point where the jeep enters like the first habitat and then just end it right before it ends again in the station. Maybe something like that. I'm not really sure yet. We're also going to have a cinematic video, of course, but yeah, we're really coming towards the end of Inama Zoo. So I really hope you guys like that and are excited for the last bits and pieces we're going to add in this zoo. Do let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of this new Inama Zoo episode. Leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And if you want to support the channel a little extra, you may want to consider to become a FaveFam member with the link down in the description or the join button of YouTube. And you can also, of course, find me on other social media platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and all those other pages. Those links are also down in the description below. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye guys! Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is the Lady Designer, and we are back with the very last speed build video of Inama Zoo. And first of all, to honor this series, in case you have not seen it yet, I have this really cool Inama Zoo design made for mugs, t-shirts, and those kind of things. If you want to honor Inama Zoo, if you like it, definitely go and check it out with the link in the description to Teespring, my merchandise store. I really love the design, and it's definitely just fitting a lot with Inama Zoo, so it's really, really cool. So yeah, make sure to check that out, obviously. So in this episode, we're going to build a shared habitat for the ostrich, the warthog, black wildebeest, zebra, and the Thompson gazelle. These are the animals that we have right now in this shared habitat. And as I said, this is the very last episode or very last speed build video of Inama Zoo. So the next episode is going to be a cinematic video of the whole zoo, and we're also going to make a POV, so an on-ride video for the Jeep Safari itself. So that is going to be super exciting, and then we're just really done with this series. I still can't believe it. I keep saying it now for the third time, and I'm still like, is this really a thing? Yes, it is. We are coming at the end of this series. This is just incredible. So yeah, as you can tell, we already had like this big mountain section like at the beginning of the river, I should say. And this was meant to be some kind of big waterfall. So that is basically what we're going to do. First, I thought I should like make the whole terrain super straight to add the waterfall to it, and later I thought no, I'm going to use that trick from Ponte Zoo with the glassy wall. That is going to be so much easier. Then cover it up with a lot of flat rocks, then create the waterfall out of the V of axis, and then just copy paste the whole thing around to, I think it's 5 or 6 different angles. And I think it looks really cool. It's definitely the biggest waterfall we have ever built in Planet Zoo at this point. It's probably not the biggest waterfall that has ever been built. I'm pretty sure that there are people that made even bigger waterfalls. But yeah, I really do like the way how this is looking. And like this river goes through the whole zoo basically. So it will go through the elephant and giraffe habitat, then go through the hippo habitat, and it will end at the flamingo habitat, the episode that we did before this episode. So yeah, I think this is just a really cool and beautiful connection, and really every habitat has its own piece of river. It's really all having a different style, and I just really love it. So I think it's just super cool to see everything now really, I can finally say it, really coming along nicely together. Do I even say that right? I'm not really sure if I do, but yeah, I'm just super excited to share this with you guys. So the edges of the waterfall itself is mostly rock. I wanted to make sure that it's steep enough to make sure that the animals are not able to get onto this mountain, because this is definitely not part of their habitat. And there's also a piece of this mountain going through the cheetah habitat a little bit, so you really want to avoid having animals going up onto the mountain. Now on top of it, I did use I did make this kind of water section. It's obviously not really realistic. There should be like a big river or anything, but we don't really have space for that. And in the end, from the Jeep Safari itself or from the path, you will not see what is on top of it. So it's basically obviously a fake waterfall, just like everything is fake in this game. But yeah, just so you know, I didn't pay too much attention to that water section on top of it. I decorated a lot with rocks around it, and later on also with some trees and shrubs, because those are the things that you will be seeing when you would be on the path, for example, or from the Jeep. So I did wanted to make sure that there was some more green on top of the waterfall, if that makes sense. Now the V-axis is kind of a thing, I'm not really sure. There's like this part halfway on top where you see more rock than the rest of the waterfall. It really bugged me and I really tried to fix it, but it wasn't really possible. The only thing I could do to make it less bad was like moving some rocks from the backside a little bit further away, but still there's this thing with these V-axes that really annoyed me, but it is what it is. I can't really help it. There are no other waterfalls in the game. Well, there are from the aquatic pack, but they definitely do not fit in this zoo, so I'm not going to use those. But I have to live with the fact that there's this really weird thing. You can't see it from the side, but from the front, I don't know. There's something off with it, and it annoys me. So yeah, as I said, there's not really that much space to create some kind of river or something from the waterfall itself. As you may see during the speed build, there is actually really not that much space to do anything with the station from the Jeep. There's also a tunnel for the staff to go underneath the ground, because there's like this whole tunnel system underneath the ground for the keepers to get to certain places, to certain habitats and stuff. And then we also have this queue line for the station of the Jeep Safari and the station itself. And yeah, there is basically not that much space because this is like right next to the entrance. I really don't understand why I didn't put everything a little bit further away, but that is like talking when you're almost finished. But yeah, that kind of bugged me. I didn't really have space to take from the habitat itself. So yeah, I had to work with this, and I decided to go for like this big mountain and just hide everything away in some kind of cave. I'm going to be honest, you can definitely call me the lazy designer instead, because in this case, I did not do too much of decorating in the cave. I'm not even sure if I'm going to do that before I upload it. Like, I don't know. I made everything look clean and nice from the front where the people enter the queue line, and also where the staff goes into the ground. You barely see that. So I think it just looks neat. Definitely not what I wanted it to be, but there just wasn't just any way of hiding everything away or doing some things differently. So this was like the most easiest solution to just get away of all the mess that I've built in this zoo. And the most important things are in the end the habitat itself where the animals are walking. So I guess it is all good, and I hope you guys can forgive me for that. But yeah, we now have one big cave system underneath the big mountain. But I am really happy with how the mountain is looking, to be honest. I think it definitely fits and it's not really that bad. So I think we really can live with this. This is only the beginning area of the Jeep Safari itself. So I guess it's okay. So I did try to add a little bit more detail into the waterfall. There was not really that much possible, but I did really wanted to add a little bit more rocks and stuff on top of the waterfall, just to give the feeling that the waterfall's a little bit divided, that they're going through some rocks, if that makes any sense. So I do really like how that has turned out, obviously. And also there is this Jeep Safari going through this habitat. What do you know? And this was the last piece of track that we had to hide away. So everything right now is covered underneath terrain. So it really gives the feeling that you're just thriving through this zoo without really a track under it. So you will see a few bits and pieces of the track, and that is mostly at some bridges, obviously at the station, and the area where the jeep goes from one habitat through those big gates to another habitat. If I would cover that up with terrain, I would probably end up with having animals being able to escape anyways. I'm not really sure, so I made sure that there was more of like this gap in between, because some habitats also don't have that gate in between. But I really had to make sure, especially for the cheetah and for the African wild dogs, to make sure that they were not able to escape or any animals go into their habitats, especially the warthogs, which are just super naughty. So yeah, I'm not really the happiest person about these big gates, but it is what it is. I have to live with that. It works like we have it right now. Talking about the African wild dogs, by the way, I got cute little puppies, but they were able to escape from so many angles, so I had to remove them from the zoo, unfortunately. I really didn't want to go back to that habitat. There were so many angles that I was like, no, I'm just not going to do that. But talking about escaping, you guys know how often I had issues with the warthog. But in this case, the warthog, I was finally able to fix this habitat, which this is their original habitat. But they were always able to escape to the hippos, to the African elephants, and those kind of things. But I finally now was able to fix this issue with the warthog. So that is at least a good thing. We don't have any escaping warthogs anymore. Even, I think we also have babies, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so far it looks all to be working, at least in this habitat. So of course, throughout the whole habitat, I used a lot of the blueprints that I've been using throughout the whole zoo. I will obviously make sure that all these patches of elephant grass and trees and bushes and those kind of things will all be uploaded in one collection list together with the zoo file. I will upload all of this when I'm going to upload the safari POV itself and when I'm going to upload the cinematic video. Once those are up, you will also find a link in those video descriptions with the collection list to the workshop. So stay tuned for that. It will come probably in a week or two when you're watching this video. So yeah, then it's finally time to upload some stuff again for you guys to the workshop, because I don't really do that often. I know many people keep asking me, do you upload things to the workshop? Yes, I do, but only when something is finished. So that is why. But finally, you guys are able to get your hands at least on these African patches and stuff. So hopefully you guys will like that. And of course, I use a lot of the aquatic rocks to create that depth and that amount of detail in this habitat. I should actually go through the whole zoo, because obviously we have a whole part of the zoo that we did not use them for. There's also a little part of the zoo where I started using the temple little rock thingies. It doesn't look super great compared to this, but I'm just not going to touch that anymore. I'm not going to replace everything. It's going to take me tons of hours of time to replace all those rocks or add a lot of rocks in the African and giraffe. But who knows? Maybe when I start to record cinematic shots, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take this whole afternoon to add all these small little rocks and details, the last bits and pieces of Inama Zoo. I'm not really sure if I will, but who knows? I might. And obviously, throughout the whole habitat, there were already some enrichment items and some feeders and stuff, and I didn't really touch too many of those. I just added a few more. Like, the only difference which we have right now with before we started building this episode is that the keeper was able to walk behind the terrain section there where the waterfall was supposed to be. But now that is all closed because that is now a whole mountain. So I was not able to put any enrichment items with like food or drinks on the other side of the river section. So everything is now in front, but that's I think that's fine. Like, we have some toys at the Jeep Safari track, and then all the other feeders and enrichment items are closer to the path. So the guests can see the animals up close from the path section itself, which is also somehow a main feature of our zoo, obviously. So we still have like this big dome. We don't have any shops or anything. I do know that we were talking about that in the beginning of the season. if we wanted to do something with some shops and those kind of things. I think I actually added a few vending machines, but I think I'm actually going to remove those and there just won't be any shop. Yeah, I know it's cruel, but I feel like this should be just something more natural. Like the only non-natural thing would be that big dome shady thing, but I don't know. I feel like I should just remove it, or the vending machines. I don't know. I might not. I don't know. I really don't know. But I do remember that we spoke about that. I know that a lot of people also ask me to make like this cute little African village and those kind of things. And I did like the idea, but I really wanted to avoid to do any more buildings in this zoo, if that makes any sense. So like we have the big dome, and that is the main area of the zoo, the main feature in the middle of the zoo, but the rest are all natural things, and that is definitely something I had in my mind. And I know that we had a lot of different plans. I really tried to recreate a lot of real biomes from Africa, and that is where we started with. We actually started with 2 or 3 episodes, which I really tried to focus on the real life biomes and those kind of things. But that really felt like it was hurting my creativity feeling of going through with this zoo. So there was a huge gap of a few months in between the first few episodes and the episodes you're watching right now. There was a huge gap because I just didn't really feel it. There were not that many biomes of Africa that I really felt like I could use this, I can recreate this or anything like that. So I really made it just harder for myself to continue this series, and that is definitely something I've learned. Whatever you're doing in Planet Zoo, if you're restricting yourself too much, for example, because you really want to go into realistic zoo and then you find yourself being like, oh, but this is not possible, or it just really strangles your creativity, then just let it go. Really, that is the best advice I can give you. There are obviously people that just really love to recreate real life zoos and they don't have any creativity issues. But if you find yourself having creativity issues because you're giving yourself too many restrictions, let it go and just go. Did anyone else hear that song? Okay, let it go. And just go and build how you want to build and let go of that little bit of realism, because that really helped me to actually finish this zoo. This is the 2nd season we are finishing right now. The first season was Nile Zoo, which was a tropical Asian zoo. Definitely something I still really, really love. I would love to do some kind of Nile Zoo too, but then with way more details and those kind of things. But no, I'm never going back to Nile Zoo. No, I know that few people keep asking me like, well, we now have so many new DLCs, can't you add more animals in Nile Zoo? I'm definitely not. The Nile Zoo is finished. I'm super proud of Nile Zoo. It was my first zoo. And now we're just going to continue. We have the safari boat ride, which is almost finished. We just started Ponte Zoo, which is more of a taiga biome with the aquatic pack. And we also have City Zoo, which is the longest running series on the channel right now. Something I'm still super proud of. And yeah, we're still working on that. And we're going to start new zoos. We're going to start a new zoo for Inama Zoo in place of Inama Zoo once this one is completely wrapped up with the cinematic shots and the Onride POV. So we're going to start a new zoo then, and we're also going to start a new zoo very soon when the safari boat ride is completely finished. I think that will be around 5 more episodes or something like that. Don't pin me on it, but something like that. So there is just still a lot of new stuff coming up and new stuff I really want to try. So yeah, I'm just super excited for everything else that we're going to do in Planet Zoo. But for now, Inama Zoo is finished. I really want to thank you guys so much for joining me during this beautiful African journey we had in Planet Zoo. I really enjoyed. I really hope you guys did too. Do let me know in the comment section down below and leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed. As I said, to honor Inama Zoo, go check out my merch store. The link is in the description down below. And if you want to support the channel in a different way, you can also join my FaveFam members with the join button of YouTube or maybe via Patreon. And you can also find me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. All those links are also down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching and all your amazing support throughout this series. And I really hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye guys! and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is the Lady Designer, and we're finally here with the zoo tour of Inama Zoo. Inama meaning wild animals in the language of the Zambian Mamba tribe. And this zoo is built for basically mostly a jeep safari, so that is going all the way through this whole, call it more of a wildlife park if you will. And yeah, so I'm definitely going to show you guys the view from the guests from this path. And then later on in this video, we're going to have the POV of the Jeep Safari itself. I'm going to warn you already, there is a little bit of lag in there. Like, there are so many animals in here. There just sometimes are lag spikes, but I will try to cut it out as much as possible. But still, the experience is definitely worth it, and I hope you guys will all enjoy that. So without further talking, let's just go first to this section right over here. So yes, this zoo does not include any shops or toilets or whatsoever. This is not really a zoo. This is just an area where people just need to bring their own food and drinks, okay? No, it's definitely just focusing on the wildlife park itself. So on this side, we have, I think these are pronghorn, I keep forgetting. We have the ostrich, we have warthogs in here, we have zebras, black wildebeest. I think that is basically it. So we have this beautiful habitat for them, very big, very natural, with a big river right over here. We have a waterfall, which we will see later on when we are a little bit further on the path as well. We have a tunnel right over here underneath it for the Jeep Safari itself. As you can tell on this side, we have a beautiful section for the flamingos. There you go, you can see the Jeep already passing by. And this is very, yeah, just a very nice section for the flamingos. And then if we move further right over here, we have an awesome section for the beautiful hippos in this case. They all have a different type of river in their habitat. I really try to give every, I'm calling it a habitat, but it's not really, but yeah, let's just call it habitat in this case. But yeah, every habitat has like this different style, especially around the rivers itself. So that is really cool. And I really try to close off with natural boundaries all the habitats. So not every animal is able to walk in every habitat. You have like warthogs, for example, that are probably able to sneak into other habitats as well, or escape. So a very beautiful habitat as well right over here for the hippos on this side. And then on this side, you have the longer part as well for the other animals on this side. You can tell there is this big waterfall right over there at the end of the river. And that river section is going all the way through this whole zoo, aka wildlife park, however you want to call it. And I think it just looks absolutely beautiful. Also from this side, from the guests, I think this is the first time I'm actually looking at this habitat from this side, so it looks absolutely amazing in my opinion. It looks really natural, really lush. And we started this zoo basically with like more trying to approach different biomes from Africa, but that really held me back with my creativity, to be honest. And at some point that led to me not uploading anything at all for this zoo, just because it was just yeah, I just didn't feel creative. So I had to let that go and just went a little bit for like what I just like to do. And that led us to actually finishing this zoo. So I am really happy with that. We have a very beautiful river section right over here with some really cool waterfalls as well, by the way, but you can't really tell from this side, to be completely honest. But I'm going to show that little section also from this side because I just really love that section. And you can't really tell that much from the Jeep Safari itself. It's going pretty fast. That's the only downside with the Jeep Safari. You can't really add like stops or anything unless you put down another station, which it's not really easy to do that, especially in like these habitats like this, especially in the mountains. That's just barely undoable. And so we did not do that. But oh gosh, this habitat, it looks also beautiful. So this, you can definitely tell the difference between habitats. Like some habitats, you can tell that we only had the South America pack or the Australia pack, etc. So I did not
completely finish off, like with, for example, the aquatic rocks from the aquatic pack. Like, you don't see them in this habitat, but you do see them in other habitats, which we finished off later. So yeah, you can definitely tell what is built before and after certain packs. Oh my god, that was so adorable with that little elephant. So yeah, this is a combined habitat with elephants and giraffes, in case you did not see that yet. It's really, really beautiful. I really do like this one as well. And then we move over to here. And then the river section goes... Oh wait, it's already here. You can barely tell, but there is like this splitting off the habitat somewhere around here, I think. So then it will become a hippo habitat on this side. Oh my gosh, okay, that one. It's a little bit too steep on that side, I can tell. But it looks absolutely beautiful. I really, really love this river section as well. As I said, like every habitat has its own river sections and they look just absolutely beautiful and amazing. This one is a little bit more rough. Without the aquatic rocks, you still were able to make it a little bit more rough with the smallest rocks you have. I think that looks really cool. Absolutely beautiful. I'm still happy, very happy with the end result of this whole zoo. I think it looks absolutely amazing, and I learned a lot from, especially from the beginning when we were really closely looking at biomes and stuff. I really learned a lot of how you can do things, so I do really like that, and I'm really, really happy with how the zoo has turned out in the end. Let me just show a little bit from here. Like my most favorite areas, definitely one of those is right over here. So we have this river section that is going towards here. This is also still a section for the elephants and the giraffes, but they don't really go here because there's actually nothing really to see. You should just add another enrichment item or something, and then it will be fine, I guess. So here it will be closed off with some elephant grass, and then it will become a now monitor habitat. One of the habitats you can't really see from the guest point of view or from the Jeep Safari itself, but definitely one of my favorite spots. I definitely am super proud of. There is something changed a little bit with the waterfall, so it's not looking as perfect as it was, but I was like, yeah, I just can't really find the VFXs anymore to fix it, but I'm pretty sure that when you look at the speed build when we built this, it looks a little bit better, less wonky, but still it looks very, very pretty from this side. I really, really think this is my favorite spot from the whole zoo. And also when you go up here, there's the Jeep Safari. We'll go up right over here, and then you can have like this beautiful view towards that dome right over here. It looks just absolutely fantastic. Or from this side as well. It's really a stunning viewing. This is definitely my most favorite part of the whole zoo. I don't know, it looks absolutely amazing with these waterfalls. And then if we go over here towards the river, there are like really nice pieces. This was actually quite a struggle to get this right and to make sure that the elephants were still able to cross this water section. But yeah, it looks absolutely amazing. I do really love this. I remember that it took me so much time to create this water effect right over here. And just look at that. Look at the elephant just crossing right over here. I think it absolutely looks amazing. Definitely also one of my favorite spots. You can just stand here and just look at the elephants crossing this river section at some points. I think it looks absolutely amazing. Really, really one of my favorite parts. Just look at this one. Oh, you see there are warthogs like everywhere. Those are the only animals that keep escaping, especially the babies. I tried to box a few of them, but still, it's quite hard. I don't know, this is just fantastic. I really do love the view of this. And those little elephants. Oh, they're just so adorable. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite zoos. The second zoo we finished after Malin Zoo, which was the very first zoo we finished, and very soon we are going to finish the safari boat ride that we're building as well. I think that is only a few more episodes away before we are able to finish that one as well. There are just so many areas in this zoo that I just really, really love. And the river's right over here as well for the hippo. Completely different from the other sections as well. A little bit more dry, a little bit more like the idea of like, I don't know, sandbanked. I'm not really sure if that is the translation for it. I'm Dutch, so if I make any mistakes, I'm sorry. It's to blame because I'm Dutch and not native English speaking. But yeah, I'm doing my best. But I think definitely the around the whole river is definitely the most favorite part of the zoo. But as I said, we also have a jeep safari going through this whole zoo, so definitely worth checking that one out as well. It is really hard, like some animals you can't really see, like the African wild dogs are not really seen in the POV, but yeah, that happens in real life as well. You can't always force the animals to come close to you, but obviously you can also download this one in the description down below. It will be up right when this video goes live, and I also will make a collection list with like some rock formations and like trees and shrubs formation, etc. So if you're going to build an African zoo for yourself, you're able to use all those pieces, bits and pieces to create something hopefully similar, and you can yeah, have fun and enjoy. So do let me know in the comment section down below, of course, what you guys think of Inama Zoo. I really want to thank you all for this amazing journey and supporting me along the way. I really do hope you guys enjoyed. Obviously, we're going to start a new zoo very soon, so do keep an eye on that, of course. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already, and leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed. Without further talking, let's jump into the POV of the Jeep Safari itself. I really do hope you will enjoy, and do let me know in the comment section down below, of course. And yeah, I really do hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys!